We were looking for a jukebox hero or any other kind of hero last night out at Petco Park and didn't really get one. And shows like this today, man, ooh, you wake up in the morning and you go, I love the tier ones. I do. I love Ben. I love Paul. But just not your favorite ones to do, especially after the beautiful weekend at Petco Park. But listen, it is what it is. I did see somebody say that championship teams, playoff teams, don't lose those kind of games, and they absolutely do. They absolutely do every single year. It happens every single year.
Maybe not more than often,
right?
But they do.
Yeah, there's no question. Just sucks. It's just a crap loss last night, and definitely sticking in my craw a little bit. Certainly, no guttural scream this morning. I was screaming internally, for sure. Let's see if you can hear it.
Oh, wow, you need to calm down.
No, I know, right? Seriously. Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
That was loud.
Man, it's tough, dude.
Deafening silence.
Yeah. Well, you're listening to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. We do appreciate you being here. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He is the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, is here as well. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. Tear your hair out. Just frustrating as it gets. Padres zing, or whatever you want to call it. That was last night, and especially frustrating coming off the series against the Dodgers. I do want to apologize in advance. There is a certain, if I'm reading my social media mentions correctly, there's a certain segment of Padres fans out there who are not going to be happy, I don't think, with either of our takes on the show today.
Well, my takes have gone back and forth in my head. I'm trying to still collate them. You know what I mean? Like, on one hand, I'm livid. On the other hand, I'm over it. You know, but it's our job to come in and parse out what happened last night. And I think, the majority of the blame is going to fall on Manny Machado today. And, whether that's fair, unfair, it is what it is. I mean, you have your cleanup hitter coming up, and really, you need a sac fly to tie the game. But you need a base hit to win it. And I said it yesterday. That's my favorite baseball player. It's doubly hard for me to watch my guys scuffle so badly. But I am also of the opinion that, that's what you're there for. That's why you're in the four-hole. That's why you make the big bucks. You got to get the job done there, period, man. I think Manny would tell you that as well.
Well, he didn't come through, and that was extremely disappointing. And the part that I'm specifically talking about I had at least 40, I think, people say, Manny, it's bad baseball to swing at the first pitch there. Manny's an idiot. Manny doesn't know ball. And that's the part that I'm going to disagree with right there. I don't share that take. I don't think it's wrong at all for a big league baseball player to swing at a first pitch, even after walks. This isn't Little League.
It's not Little League, man.
You're looking for your best pitch to hit. Do I think that was the best pitch for Manny to hit? Of course not. And I would hope that he would agree with that as well. But you're not going up there with your bat on your shoulders just waiting to take a strike in the big leagues. That's not how I think it should work. It's not how it does work, especially for a player of Manny Machado's caliber. I just totally disagree with that take. And if you think that that's what baseball is, then you're living in high school baseball, you're living in Little League baseball, what your coach told you when you were 12. It doesn't apply in the big leagues. It really doesn't. You're looking for the best pitch to possibly hit. And if it's the first pitch, that may be the best one you see and maybe the one you should go after. So it's not the decision-making of going after the first pitch. It's simply the choice of, the swing and the execution of not getting it done there that is very frustrating. But you're never going to convince me that Manny Machado doesn't know ball or was being a selfish player in that situation. He's got the same goal that every Padres fan, every coach has in that ballpark. He wants to win the game for the team, as he should be trying to do in that situation. So if you disagree with that, I'm sorry, but I don't think Woods is going to say anything different. I don't know if Paul's going to say anything different either.
No, I mean, you want him to come through there, obviously, and he did. Whatever it was when Schilt took that run off the board, and hey, what was that?
Yeah,
that was first pitch. Yeah, I mean, look, I looked at his numbers this morning because I was curious about it as well. I mean, on an 0-0 count, first ball hitter, 389 on the fastball. On an 0-1 count, 083 on the fastball. And on an 0-2 count, 0. So, I mean,
that this year?
That's this year. Could you be a better hitter, Manny, 0-1? Could you be a better hitter, 0-2? Sure, absolutely. But he also knows what he wants to do there. And I hated the pitch selection that he swung at. I really did. I didn't think it was a good pitch to handle, but, he rolled it over and didn't get the job done. And it sucks. It sucks to watch. And it sucks for Padres fans. You battle back, so hard in that game to get it close and feel like that's a game that it was probably, boy, that 9-4 one was tough. That one was really tough. Watching it go away.
That's, by the way, 2 consecutive games against the Colorado Rockies, by the way.
With Dakota Hudson on the mound, by the way. But it's, a different one in this one. Letting it slip through your fingers is awful. But valiantly trying to come back and having multiple opportunities and not doing it, that sucks too. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, man. So I posted those numbers, and our buddy Bradley said Profar was on deck. You keep the lineup moving for your big bat. I mean, you don't really. That's your cleanup hitter that makes $30 million a year. I'm fine with him swinging there. That's his job to at least tie that game or win that game. Somebody said, he's up there looking for the big hit. You think so? Of course he is. Of course he's looking for the big hit.
Just like Luis Arraez was on Friday night.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Going up there looking for the big hit.
That sucks.
If you're going up there looking for a walk.
Oh, you guys hated Juan Soto
you're
when
not,
he did that.
You're not a big league hitter.
Right.
That's not what you should do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very. You'd really have to be a bad 180 hitting 9 hitter for the manager to go, hey, just keep taking until you get to 2 strikes or something. You're just not going to see that in the big leagues. Yeah,
it's tough, dude. It's really, really tough. Those are the games that you have to. You feel like you have to win, especially when you mount a comeback like that, man. So, listen, I ride with all these guys. I really do. I mean, this is the first Padres team that since we've started covering the team, certainly, that I look at and I go, I love them all. Really. There's something to like about every single player. I have not always felt that way. I do still believe in this team. I do believe that this team is a 500 team because that's what their record says they are. But I think that's what we need to be right now. You can't let too many more games against cellar dwellers slip through your fingers. That's 2. That's 2 right now. You cannot lose to the Colorado Rockies, especially, when you had multiple chances. It wasn't just Manny, too. It was the 7th. It was the 8th. It was the 9th. It was making Dakota Hudson look like prime Verlander. He's at 65 pitches in the 7th inning or something insane like that. That can't happen. So a lot of first pitch weak rollovers last night. Again, weird defense, the ball dropping in between Merrill and Tatis. That's something that's been an issue, not just under Schilt, under Melvin, under Tingler, under Green. The communication out there gets a little bit spotty at times, and those are plays that have to get made. There are bright spots about last night's game. Certainly, Jackson Merrill being one of them was fantastic. But man, when you look at the top 4, yes, Manny makes the most money, certainly, out of the top 4. But the top 4 last night were 0 for 15. Now they managed still to get on base 5 times. Those guys, but still 0 for 15 just doesn't cut it with a lineup like ours. Our bottom of our order has really carried us in far too many games this season. So. I love these cats. I do. I believe in them. I'm calmer about it now. Pretty pissed, though, when I woke up, this morning and let it all kind of sink in again, knowing I got to go hash this thing out for 4 hours on the radio. I'm going to see some dumb comments. I'm going to see some astute comments. But I just, again, with those numbers, that guy knows what he wants to do. I didn't like the pitch personally, but I understand why he's hacking 0-0. That's where he does his damage. And it's not in question. It's not even in question. If he takes that pitch to be a good team player, his average drops 300 some odd points.
Sure. And I think you can very logically think in the mind of Colorado's pitcher going, okay, now I don't have any place to put him. The last thing I want to do is fall behind 1-0 to Manny Machado.
That's why you're looking there.
Start risking going deeper into this count. I've got to throw a strike on the first pitch. Yeah. And Manny is thinking probably the same thing. The pitcher knows he kind of needs to throw a strike on this first pitch. So I'm looking for a strike. I'm probably looking for something on the inside part of the plate. He got it. It was just
couldn't get his hands in.
It was just a little bit. It was a better pitch than he was expecting. Yep. It was on the corner. It was a little bit lower. It was kind of right, maybe half an inch out of the zone he was probably really looking for. And that's all it takes to turn a game-winning double down the line into a game-ending double play to the third baseman. And unfortunately, that is baseball.
Aaron says, I should probably pick a different player. Manny looks washed for good. I mean, I'll bet you on that one. I'll take that bet. certainly. But I can't turn off who my favorite player is. That's my favorite baseball player. That's who I love the most. It's hard when you watch your favorite, especially. Everyone's got their favorite players, right? But mostly I root for the laundry, and this year, everybody in the laundry I pretty much dig, man. I really do. So it's been a refreshing. That's been a refreshing thing this year to not have a guy that I go, please fire this guy into the sun. Really. I mean, honestly, I'm racking my brain. Are there guys that you could upgrade? Sure, absolutely. But there's not one of those guys I go, you got to get this guy off this team. And I've felt that way about 7, 8 guys every single year. So, yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, we're all frustrated, absolutely, with that game. And, it's unfortunate. I will say about Manny as well that you can't forget that he is coming off major surgery. I mean, that he is still less than 2 months coming back from, when he first picked up a baseball, essentially, from pretty big surgery on his elbow. I have no idea if or how much that is affecting a slower start for Manny Machado, but you can't just dismiss it and go, well, he's back. He's got to be producing it at 100% Manny Machado levels right at the beginning of the season. I don't think that's fair as well.
Spike just hit me up and said, before the baby, he was hitting 260. With the baby, 172, 128 at home. Yeah, maybe. When we had our firstborn, I was. You guys know I was homicidal. I mean, it's gnarly. It's really, really gnarly. Now, it's conversely, you can say, oh, man, you get that good dad strength going. Maybe it takes a while to kick in. But, look, I'm not giving up on any of these guys. I'm not. And I'm certainly not giving up on Manny Machado. Sorry. If you want me to come in here and rip him, he needs to get the job done. Period. He makes too much money for that to happen last night. Straight up. But I'm not giving up on Manny Machado. I do not think Manny Machado is, quote-unquote, washed by any stretch. There's really nobody on the team I feel like is washed. I feel like everybody, especially in the top of the order, they're underperforming right now. But like Schultz said last night, I'll take him every single time at the dish with the bases loaded. Every single time. I just watched him come through and win a game for us.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take Manny up there every day. It just didn't work out.
I understand the frustration. I understand if I was coaching a 12U team and my son walks up and the guy's throwing 4 straight balls, and if my son swings at one and rolls into a double play, I'm going to ask him, what did you think? And I saw a pitch I could hammer. And
what were you looking for?
Well, yeah, what were you looking for there, Bo? Manny Machado is different. There are his numbers. He knows that he's a better first ball hitter, and he got one he thought he could handle, and he didn't handle it. And that's kind of what it boils down to for me. I can say that, but also say, yeah, man, you need to come through there, bro. You do. You got to. That's why they pay you. That's why you're in the 4-hole. That's it. Driving those runs. And
is it different if he hits a scorching liner at third and they double him off at third base or something?
Are people still mad he swings at the first pitch?
Yeah,
probably.
Is that the argument that you just can't swing at the first pitch, or is it simply you didn't execute? Because
if you're mad at him swinging first pitch, I think you were going to be mad either way, unless he hit a home run.
Or, you're single. Just a single. Single or sac fly to tie it, that's the other thing, too, is like the productive outs that we were getting, really, really, we were good. We're getting
number one in baseball in productive outs.
Yeah, and
they're the best team in baseball so far this season.
The last few games feels like we've missed some opportunities there. The old ground ball to second to move the runners on first and second. Luis Ariz coming up and grounding into that double play. I thought right there, I'm like, this is the perfect guy. First and second, nobody's going to be able to pull this ball to the right side, get these guys over better than him. No, he hits a screamer right at the shortstop, easy double play. Nando comes up, first pitch, Randy roll over to short. In the span of 7 seconds, they're out of that inning. That was brutal. There was a series of brutal events that led to last night's loss. And I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Obviously, Matt, last man at the dish with the bat in his hand, rolling into a double play, he's going to get the brunt, and I think it's deserved. But holy smokes, guys, should have won that game by 6. 11 walks and 8 in the last 3 innings, and you can't score a run? That's tough, man. That's a tough look. No. So, you got to regroup.
Can't wait until we start talking about this game this morning. That was good foreplay. Get us nice and easy into
everyone nice and loose and having a good morning.
This morning's show. We will definitely get into today's game at some point. I know if you were tuning in hoping that we'd have some hot takes on last night's game, be patient. We will get there. Don't worry. We've got some thoughts on what happened last night at Petco Park. I'm sure we will share them. We can't talk about National Buttermilk Biscuit Day all morning. We will get to the game. Coming up, set the menu for what we've got on a Tuesday. Good morning, Padres fans. Yeah, we feel it out there. Absolutely. On San Diego's #1 sports station. Here's Kelly with traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Sometimes life isn't fair. You hear that a lot. Parents say that to you.
Said it to my kids like 4 times yesterday. Life sucks sometimes. You got to get a helmet.
It's one of my least favorite expressions out there. Welcome back. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. If you ever talk to like my mother, you'll know that growing up, I am a big believer in fair play. I'd like everything to be as fair as possible all the time. Now, I realize that is impossible. That's a dream that can never happen. There is just inherent inequities in the world, in sports, in everything. You can't make everything 100% fair all the time. But I strive to be balanced and fair as much as I can, especially with this platform that we have, that we are fortunate enough to have to talk about the Padres. And that involves sometimes being critical of the team. And we have been critical to the point that we have heard it from, people inside the organization sometimes, like, hey, don't be, why are you so tough on us? We've heard it from the fans for not being critical at times. It's a balance that you have to strike sometimes in this job. And I think I want to just make clear, because I see a lot of already in the chat this morning on social media, that, they're just the excuse makers. They're defending Manny. It's really not that for me. For me, it's the fact that I know that if I came on this morning and just hammered a team that has won 4 series in a row, that has really been playing some of its best baseball of the season, probably its best baseball of the season the last couple of weeks here in May, over one loss in which they did, gave themselves a lot of opportunities and didn't come through. I think that would be unfair of me to do that to the San Diego Padres this morning, to just hammer them over that game last night. Am I frustrated as a fan? Of course. I'm sure they're even more frustrated than you are that they didn't find a way to win it. I also don't think that they or the fan base should be incredibly discouraged by that one game at the same time. So I'm going to try to take a fair, measured approach this morning, despite our frustration and despite the fact that, of course, the top of the lineup needs to be better, that Manny Machado needs to put up bigger numbers, as does Fernando Tatis Jr., as does Xander Bogaerts. Even with home runs the last 2 games, you're going to need more out of all of those guys going forward. But ultimately, to be at 500 with the lack of output from those guys to start the season, that's actually not a bad spot to be at this moment. I think that's the fair take right now if you're a San Diego Padres fan.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want me to go Mad Dog or something, I can. I've got it in me. It just feels a little bit performative. It feels a little bit performative in my case. And, somebody said I contradicted myself earlier talking about swinging first pitch. Look, man, I'm talking about the specific player of Manny Machado, who knows he's a first ball fastball hitter. He got a first pitch fastball. He hit it. Didn't hit it where he wanted to. That's what I'm saying. Earlier in the game, I think Fernando swung at the first pitch a few times, rolled over. Like, I understand that in baseball is really, really hard. Hitting especially is really, really hard. And there are a lot bigger names than some of the guys on our team that are scuffling right now across baseball. It's actually been quite an epidemic in the game. So if you want me to threaten his life, I'm not going to do that, man. I still believe in him. I still believe that he's a good baseball player. And if that makes me soft, I'll wear that, I guess. I'm not going to come in here this morning and say he's washed. I'm not going to come in here and say he's a bum. I'm not going to say that he needs to be sent down to find his head, which I saw. I just think he didn't get the job done last night. Also, that is his job, to get the job done. He is paid handsomely to do it. Handsomely. The most handsomely. So, yeah, man, I need a sac fly from Manny in that spot. At the bare minimum, I need a sac fly from Manny in that spot. He didn't come through. Is it inexcusable? No. I'm going to excuse them by watching the game and rooting my ass for him again today.
Is it ever inexcusable in baseball to not get a hit or even not make contact, knowing that even the best players, even Ted Williams, didn't get a hit more than 6 out of 10 times in his career?
Yeah.
Didn't come through. Struck out. Even Tony Gwynn struck out from time to time. It was very rare. Luis Ariz strikes out from time to time. I mean, you can never say that it's inexcusable in one specific instance to not come through in baseball. Now, if you get 20 of those chances and you don't come through at all, you only come through once or twice, and you're getting paid a ton, yeah, at some point, okay, now you're really performing at a level that's pretty inexcusable for who you are. But in one specific instance, you can't ever say that that's inexcusable for a baseball player not to come through there. Correct?
No. I mean, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Michael Jordan didn't come through on the last shot many times. Kobe Bryant. Those two guys have more missed game-winning shots, I believe, than any basketball players in history. Is it inexcusable? Are they bums? Does Michael Jordan need to be sent down to the G League to get his head right when he doesn't come through in the end?
These are the ones that are driving me nuts. Hey, he couldn't find the zone. He found the zone. He didn't swing at a ball off the plate and roll it over.
That? It was a pitch on the inside.
It was down the middle.
Yeah,
it was inner third, like right where he wants to pitch.
Probably what he was looking for.
He just didn't get to it. So again, I understand that he can't find the zone. He found it and gave you your pitch that you thought you could handle. Again, if he reaches out at ass out swing, and wraps around a ground ball down to third, terrible. You got to pitch middle in. You thought
unless
you could
he gets
handle.
a base hit there.
Unless he gets a base hit, then it's a great process.
This is a stupid game.
Listen, if you're going to call me soft for trying to be sensible about it, that's fine. I really don't care. I really don't. It doesn't bug me, because I have faith that in another spot that he will come through, or Campy will come through, or Fernando, or Jake, or Profar, who's come through so many times. There's not a guy on this team I don't believe
Manny's come through a lot. I mean, I see it isn't
recency
necessarily
bias.
one time that he's come through, but yeah, he's come through a lot for the San Diego Padres over the last 5 years. I'm not making that up. He comes through a lot for this team. Manny is nowhere near Jordan and Kobe. He's been one of the best players in baseball over the last decade.
It's so we're doing this again.
Is he an all-time great? No. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yeah.
Yeah.
Manny Machado is a Hall of Famer. I mean, he is.
He's this week's torture chamber death wheel. And that's it happens. And he's been cold for a while. He's put some decent swings on lately, but it doesn't look like Manny. I'll give you that. Absolutely does not look like Manny Machado. That. When he gets on a hot streak, he's barreling everything to right center. For sure. I totally get that frustration, man. I do. But, the Rockies, for some weird reason, seem to have our number and got some runs early, stealing bags like a madman early. And that, they put the pressure on. I loved the comeback. I did. Really wanted them to close that out because I feel like they should have and could have. That's a game that they're going to hopefully this isn't one of those games you lament, just like the last one you played against those. When we get down to the end of the season and go, son of a bitch, the Reds, the Royals last year, those brutal, brutal series where you thought, man, we got to scrub. It's very reminiscent of the Royals game last year where they were throwing the ball all around the yard. They were kicking it everywhere, walking guys, and we gave that game away. You got to get this thing cranked up. You got to beat cellar dwellers like the Rockies, and you have to take the next two. You have to.
All right, we will take a timeout. When we come back, we'll go through the highlights. There were some other important issues and things that were going on in that game yesterday that we can discuss as well. 7 o'clock hour, Take on Woods. We've got that new Vegas prize for you, the Warrant concert tickets as well. No one's qualified yet. You'll have a chance coming up at 7:10. Don't do this. Second half of the show, Jesse Agler, always the highlight on a Tuesday. The voice of the Padres coming in with the Incorporator at 8:35. Reindl Report going until Annie and Elston at 10 o'clock this morning. Padres continuing their series against the Rockies tonight at Petco Park. We'll talk about it all. Don't go anywhere. More Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's funny. There was an actual there was a game played. A lot of outs happened before the last double play by Manny Machado, and we really haven't gotten into any of that yet. But everything that led up to the final moment was just as important last night. We'll discuss the 5-4 loss to the Colorado Rockies, get to the highlights of our Padres wrap-up. First, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. If you're ready for a new job, let Express Employment Professionals help you. Express is your one connection for a summer job in a variety of industries. Job seekers never pay a fee at Express. Go to expresspros.com to find your location. That's expresspros.com. All right, we'll check traffic with Kelly, then we'll come out with the highlights, lowlights of last night's 5-4 loss to the Colorado Rockies next year on The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Definitely getting a little busy here on our roads, guys. Got a crash on southbound 15 before Center City Parkway. A tow truck is rolling up to help out with this one. It's got middle lanes blocked, so yeah, watch out for lots of confusion there. On the coastline, northbound at 5 before Las Pulgas, an accident involving a motorcycle. It's over to the right shoulder. Southbound 5 near the King Freeway, getting reports of a stalled semi over to the right shoulder. And I want to mention this structure fire that is affecting some of the traffic along 1800 block of Plaza Boulevard in National City. This is just west of the 805, so you might want to avoid that area. Stop by into 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change Centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
Oh, a shame indeed.
It's a complete crap.
Oh, I did not like that.
Here are the lowlights from yesterday's game.
Are you kidding me?
Boo.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up, presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else.
We'll give it 16 minutes of sulk, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
It's not your fault.
They probably would have given up some more hits. Here's a bouncing ball up the middle. Great diving stop by Kim. But all he can do is hold on to it as he rolls onto the outfield grass. And Montero an RBI infield single as Doyle comes in to score. And the Rockies take a 1-0 lead. Gets him going. This one hit a mile to left field. It got him going all right. Off the facing of the second deck in left. A no-doubter for Profar. He's homered in 2 straight games. And just as importantly, this is now a tie game, 1-1.
That ball got out in a hurry.
40-70 season. Montero lines this one into left center field. He's found the gap. Merrill's got to go over and get it. Picks it up just in front of the warning track. Rogers has scored their waving cave. Here's Kim's relay to the plate. And in and out of the mitt of Campusano. Vasquez backing up, throws down to third. But Montero is in safely. And a 2-run double for Elauris Montero has given the Rockies the lead right back. It is 3-1. Here's the 1-1. Blackman hard hit liner into right field. That'll drop for a base hit. Montero comes in from third base. An RBI single for Charlie Blackman. And the Rocky lead is now 4-1. 2-2. Tovar swings, skies it into shallow center field. Merrill charging straight in. Fernando coming over as well. And it drops between them. Blackman's going to come home and score. And it looked like a little bit of a miscommunication in the outfield as the Rockies now take a 5-1 lead. Machado at first with 2 down. Padres trail by 4. First pitch swinging. Profar launches one deep to right field. This one gonna go. A 2-run homer for Profar. And just like that, this is a 5-3 game in the bottom of the 6th. A 1-2-3 fifth, a 1-2-3 6th. Now trying for a 1-2-3 7th. The 1-0, little tapper up the first baseline. Charged by Cronenworth. He's going to try and tag him himself. They're going to say he was out of the baseline, and he's called out to end the inning. Wow. That was very borderline, but the first base umpire, Lance Barrett, emphatic in his call, and it is a 1-2-3 7th. Claw their way back into this one. 1-0, hit in the air, deep to right field, way back, no doubter Jackson Merrill. Padres have hit their third home run of the night, and we got ourselves a one-run ball game in the bottom of the 7th inning. Kim at first, nobody out. 1-2. The pitch to Arise, hit in the air to right field, shallow down the line. Long run, Cave dives, and he makes the catch. What a play. Full-on sprint coming in and towards the line, and Cave a phenomenal catch for the first down of the inning. First pitch. Machado swings, bounces it to third. McMahon to second, that's one. Rogers' turn to first is in time, and a game-ending double play. The Padres draw 8 walks in the last 3 innings. None of those came in to score, and the Rockies hold on for a 5-4 win.
Typically, you earn 11 walks and put you in a pretty good position. Just couldn't cash in on the big hit, so just wasn't the opportunity for us to be able to scratch through at the big moment.
Could not cash in. Yeah, 11 walks for the game, but 8 of them in the last 3 innings after Jackson Merrill's home run had made it a 5-4 game, and not one of them came through to score that tying run.
It was excruciating.
It was.
That's
it was.
tough.
And it wasn't just Manny's double play at the end of the game. There were other moments. But let's go through this whole game because, you don't get to 5-4 without a lot happening before the last couple of outs. Start with Xander Bogaerts, who hit a home run for the second straight day, a solo shot to tie the game at 1 in the second inning.
They made a big deal about the switch to the axe bat.
They did. Bob Scanlon was talking about it as he homered.
It's I've used one before. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. Helps a little bit with bat speed and control. And I'm sitting here wondering, going, he's used it before with some pretty good success. Why would you ever deviate from it again? I do want to say it may be a little bit tougher on the wrist than a regular bat. I feel like it is. And with
wrist
Xander's
problems,
wrist,
maybe he decided to go because I think they said he used it back in 2017 or something, and then went back to it. And maybe it is the wrist, and maybe he's so desperate right now. He's like, let's worry about the wrist later. Let's see if we can get some bat speed. And it did. The exit velocity on that home run, 111.3 miles per hour, was his highest on any ball since last August. That's a really good sign for Xander Bogaerts. I don't know if he's coming out of his slump or not.
Well,
the last couple of days, he certainly has hit some balls much, much harder, and at least gives you something to hope on after the really slow start for Xander. So that was a good sign early. Now, obviously, Randy Vasquez did not get the job done after a great run of starting pitching. That third hit came quickly. After 4 straight starts with 2 hits or fewer, first time since 1893, that incredible stat. That was over, I think, in the 3rd inning. Randy Vasquez ended up getting knocked down in the 4th. 3 2/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, and no strikeouts. For a guy who gets a lot of stuff plus, didn't get a lot of swing and miss yesterday. And when the Rockies made contact, it hurt. They weren't all hit hard. I think Mike Schilt mentioned that after the game. That's true. Even in the 4-run inning, I was watching those highlights as Paulie was playing the Padres Wrap-Up. Even the 2-run double by, who was it, Montero? That didn't even get to the warning track. That was just well-placed. And then 2 bloops at the end of the inning. One that was broken bat by Charlie Blackmon. Another one that fell in front of Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr., a little miscommunication. Randy Vasquez certainly wasn't lucky in the game, but he was up, and he was allowing the Rockies to at least elevate those balls to give them a chance to fall in. He needs to, if he wants to stick in the starting rotation and in the big leagues, he's going to need to be a little sharper in terms of location and get some more swing and miss to be effective.
I don't care what team you are and how many games you've won. If you can subtract or eliminate a pitch when you step up to the plate, like they were able to do on his slider sweeper, you're in good shape as a ball club that can hit. And again, some weak contact certainly, but when you can't land your sweeper or your slider, Benny, and then you're throwing your sinker and your sinker's not sinking and it's up, I mean, the ball Tovar hit was like, we really lucky kept that one in the yard because that was BP. That was David Macias throwing to Xander before a game. That is right there. Lucky that one stayed in the yard. Listen, it was not an effective outing from Randy Vasquez at all. I also don't really fault Mike Schilt for not going out and yanking him. This bullpen has been much maligned. I thought Adrian Morejon did a phenomenal job bouncing back.
If the Padres had won the game, Adrian Morejon would have. I don't think he would have gotten the win. I don't think he would have been the unsung hero,
No
though.
question.
To take a 5-1 deficit, retire 10 straight batters, and give your team a chance to come back into it. Excellent job. I saw a lot of people talking about is it time now to give Adrian Morejon a chance in the starting rotation? Well, they gave him a chance in a higher leverage situation.
Didn't work out.
The other day, it didn't work out with a couple of walks. I mean, he's a work in progress, like some of the other guys are. He's still, I always forget with Adrian Morejon. I look at him and I think, he's been around forever. What is he, 32? Was he 25? He's still on the younger side, especially for pitchers in Major League Baseball. He's still a work in progress, and that was some great work by Adrian Morejon. So the Padres do come back. You heard the home runs by Jurickson Profar, still hot, and Jackson Merrill, who I thought had maybe his best game. Yes, he let that bloop fall in, and unfortunately it turned out to be the difference in the game. He made so many plays. What did you say? He is a busy beaver. Busy beaver out there in center field.
Busy beaver.
He was making all kinds of plays. He had the great double up when the Rockies were threatening to kind of put it away there in the 8th inning after a couple of errors by the Padres had put some runners on. That was huge. And he absolutely scorched the ball. First at bat was actually his hardest hit, single the other way. Then he had a hard out, and then he had the home run, which was an absolute no-doubter. I knew Jackson Merrill, he hits the ball hard, but in terms of like raw power, I wasn't thinking a lot of no-doubter home runs. I figured when Jackson Merrill gets them, they'll be a few feet over the wall. That was a no-doubter. He knew it. Bat flip, fire up his team. That was an emotional swing that got the Padres within one there in the bottom of the 7th inning. A very good game for Jackson Merrill, even though, ultimately you can point and say a little better communication out there with Tatis might have saved a run that ended up being important. So that brings us then to the last 3 innings. It wasn't just the 9th inning, of course. They got 2 walks after Jackson Merrill's home run with nobody out in the 7th inning. And Luis Arraez, hero from Friday, hits into a hard double play that kills them in that inning. They're unable to score a run there. In the 8th inning, the bases loaded are walked. And Luis Campusano has a chance with the bases loaded. And the first pitch to Campy is up and in, right under his chin, and he dodges out of the way by just the scantest of margins. I mean he could probably feel the air rushing past him on that ball. If it hits him, the game is tied. But it gets out of the way. And we immediately, I think, texted each other. You probably had the thought at home. Doesn't Campy need to just kind of wear that one? Take one for the team, as they say, and take his base and force in the tying run in that situation. They're giving it to you.
Guys, and I hate taking that approach at times. Like, just hit the ball, just wear it. But I go, man, in that situation, like, doesn't the approach have to be anything inside? I'm turning on it and just taking it. Like, you got to know that's a tie ball game.
Easier said than done.
So
I know. And that's why I was like, I hate even writing this. But
I know.
I know everyone's thinking it.
Yeah, we got ice, man. We'll be all right. Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, you don't want anyone to be injured. We just saw Ha-Sung Kim getting hurt and some nervousness. He ended up playing today. Tatis gets out of the way like no one's business up there when a ball is up and in. You don't want your guys wearing them all the time. I certainly, I couldn't stand in against a major. I'd be ducking out of the way on pitches that were 3 feet outside if I was up there. I just, I don't have that, but it is something to at least discuss that in a moment like that, is there a thought? Okay, if it's coming inside, you just have that quick thought like, I'm not diving out of the way. There's no way the umpire would have called something like that. No, you didn't get out of the way. You're staying here. Plenty inside to be a hit by pitch. I think, as I said, you need to be fair in this seat.
Would have been a rib shot.
It's pretty unfair to say someone needs to take a 95er to the ribs for his team when human instinct is going to tell all of us to get out of the way there. All of us to get out of the way.
Close.
Would I have liked it if it had just brushed his uniform? And, no harm done, but you take your base and tie the game, of course.
Put a good swing on the next one,
it was a little low, but
hit
a liner to center.
Yep. I mean, it sucks. Trust me, I'm not pissed off. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm not pissed off, but I glad we got another one today.
There was also that key moment in the 9th inning that happened before Manny took the plate as well. We'll talk about that coming up. Take on Woods as well. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods coming up in just a second. Don't go away. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Just saw a number that surprised both of us from the ninth inning last night. It's Ben and Woods. Welcome back. Hour number 2. Frustrating morning as we talk about the 5-4 loss to the Colorado Rockies last night. I will say this. Last year, I feel like the Padres had games like this where they fell behind 5-1.
Lost 5-1.
And they just lose 5-1.
Yeah.
There was no...
What's better?
No fight or comeback. Oh, obviously this is better.
Is it better? Because
Yes.
I feel like I got my soul ripped out.
Yeah, of course. It hurts more this way, but if your team is never...
And it...
is never in and never coming back, then you're not going to win any of those games. If they keep coming back, eventually they're gonna get some of these. It's much better to have a chance at it, even if you end up more frustrated at the end of the game. But I talked about that moment in the ninth inning before Manny's double play grounder. Luis Arias, robbed by Jake Cave, was one of the best plays I've seen in a clutch situation.
There's no way he catches that ball.
He had
right?
to run so far for that ball. I just thought there's no chance he's going to make this catch. It would have been a bloop single. Would have been a little lucky for Arias. Padres deserved a little bit of luck. A couple of the numbers that we saw. So the Padres had, of the 18 hard hit balls in the game last night, they had 13 of them. Rockies only had 5.
And no one wants to hear that, but it's process,
yeah,
right?
It's process over outcome.
Yes.
And
it's hard to stomach. I understand.
And in the final at bat of the game, when Manny's up there, a big part of his job, yes, you'd like to hit a fly ball, tie the game, obviously somehow get on.
Keep it rolling.
But the biggest part of his job in that situation is to hit the ball hard. And he did. I didn't even realize that the double play grounder was 105 miles an hour. It's one of the harder hit balls of the night.
The hardest hit ball of the night.
For him, it was. Obviously, Xander's home run was harder. Jackson Merrill's home run was about the same as Manny's, double play grounder. Yeah, did he elevate it? No. But he did a large part of the job in that situation. Is you're going up looking to do some damage on a pitch you think you can hit. And he hit a ball 105 miles an hour, and it went at the third baseman.
It's the worst part of the stupid
That's not
game.
A crime. And for those who say that Manny has to take a pitch, looking at some of the more of his numbers, his career OPS with the bases loaded is insane. It's 11-10. He is. People are saying he's not Kobe, he's not Jordan. When it comes to batting with the bases loaded, he is one of the greatest players who has ever lived in baseball. Manny has 12 career grand slams. He does so much damage in those situations. He is one of the very best. To question Manny's process when he comes up with the bases loaded is like questioning, Tiger's process on the golf course. No one has really done it better than Manny. So
it's just process, man. I mean, again, listen. Hit the ball hard. Good things happen. They don't always happen. Sucks. Sucks. I hate it. I hate it for him. I hate it for us. I hate it for, you want to get that win against that team. You want to get a win against that team. And having to claw back and, showing the resolve that they did show to claw back was great. That said, but it doesn't make it sting any less. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. Steve Owens says there's no process in baseball. That's BS, dude.
It's the most process-oriented
It's literally
sport.
the most process-oriented sport that there is. Period. The end. No improv. No, really. You go up with a plan, and your plan is, in that scenario, as the cleanup hitter that makes $30 million a year, your plan is, I've got to do damage here. And he hit the ball really hard. He just didn't get it up in the air. So
I'm starting to get a little frustrated here just because maybe I should stay out of the chat this morning. I've seen the word apologize. The Ben is apologizing for the team. No, I'm not. They don't have anything to apologize for last night. They don't. They lost the game. They're going to lose some games. They hit the ball hard. It's not – Manny doesn't have to apologize for swinging at the first pitch there. There's no apologies that are required for the team last night. There's no apologies necessary.
You lost the ball game. You probably should have won. They tried to hand it to you. You didn't take it. That's on them.
Do you need a better fifth starter? Yeah. Does A.J. Preller want to apologize for not having a better option there, not re-signing Seth Lugo? I would have loved to have seen that. Sure.
What it comes down to, and it hasn't changed. The narrative of Ben and Woods hasn't changed all year. Your stars have to play like stars. Your top 4 in your lineup last night were 0 for 15. What do you do? What do you do? You're not going to win many ball games when that happens. And you still had a chance to win that game with your top 4 being 0 for 15. you still had a chance to win that game last night.
Did the Dodgers
you lost
need
by
to
one.
apologize when their top guys didn't come through this weekend against the Padres? They had a miserable weekend.
Terrible
against the Padres.
And that's obviously you're coming off the high of taking 2 or 3 from the Dodgers and really pitching your ass off and playing your ass off. But listen, man, if you want to talk about that,
all right, was there a letdown? I
feel let down.
Let's get into that. Well, there's a little spicy back and forth after the game between Kevin Acee and Mike Schilt. Get to that in a second. We do need a contestant for Take on Woods about 4 or 5 minutes away. If you want to get online, you can be the first to qualify this month for a new Vegas getaway. Warrant concert tickets, 833-288-0973. I think it's a natural, question. We talked about it yesterday on the show. You want to avoid a letdown after the big emotional Dodger series. A Monday night against the Rockies is not going to have the same feel, the same atmosphere in the ballpark as a big weekend against the Dodgers, and it didn't. Crowd was lower. It'll be big tonight with the Joe Musgrove bobbleheads, but it was a smaller crowd. It was a lesser opponent. You've got to find your own incentive. I don't think the problem was the Padres were less into it or less focused on the game last night. But it's a question that's going to be asked, and it was asked last night after the game. Here's the somewhat spicy interaction between Kevin Acee of the Union Tribune and Padres manager Mike Schilt.
How much of a letdown or how deflating did it feel after the big weekend to come in and not put together very many hits, not get things done tonight? Was there any level of deflation?
Maybe for you.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Not you didn't feel that out there.
I didn't. I mean, listen, if you want to make some kind of correlation, I didn't know. I mean, I saw a group of guys going out there. We happened to get down. They got some hits. Got down 5-1, normal baseball game. Fought our asses off, competed, stayed focused, got our walks, couldn't get a big hit when we needed it. That's what I saw. There wasn't any deflation for me. I saw guys getting after it and running around the field and diving and making plays and playing as good a baseball as they could play.
Whatever, I'm over it. Move on.
Do you think the Padres should feel deflated, or should they come out tonight and feel pretty confident still with where they're at as a team?
I think you're absolutely confident. You have Dylan Cease on the mound tonight, and I think you win this game going away. I really do. I'm not overly concerned. I'm pissed about last night, and I'm pissed that the Rockies have won more games against us than they probably should have.
A guy like Dakota Hudson, who has lost, the Rockies have lost every single start that he's had except for the 2 against the Padres.
That's right. 0-6, 6.35.
He didn't do anything in the first one.
He looked.
Had that
look, I'm not tipping my cap to Dakota Hudson. I feel like that was more on us and kind of a bad process early in the game. But yeah, man, listen, I'm flushing it. I'm flushing it. So
again, I'm spending too much time in the chat.
Yeah, stay out of the chat, dog.
You guys have chased Ben away.
We are addicted to a 500 record. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I've said that all year.
People who are saying Ben doesn't know ball when he defends Manny for swinging at the first pitch. Ben, you didn't play.
Oh, Benny, I'm getting dragged too. It happens.
It's not me. You guys are questioning Manny Machado. You out there are all saying you know more than Manny Machado. That Manny doesn't know ball.
Right.
By swinging at the first pitch there. I'm just saying that I think Manny knows ball better than I do or better than you do. And when you look at Manny's numbers, he's an 11-10 OPS guy with the bases loaded. He's a 400 hitter on the first pitch. He's looking for a fastball. He gets a fastball. He hits it hard. End of story. I mean, what is the other argument that you're hoping for? That you'd rather see him fall behind in the count and then, hopefully the pitcher then loses command again because he walked a couple of guys before? Pitchers come in and out with command all the time.
It's the big leagues, man. Right. And you're going to lose these games
I don't
sometimes.
see that argument that it was dumb to swing at the first pitch. I just don't see it. Bob Scanlon said the same thing right after the game. It's like, I think that was good. That was good by Manny, looking for a pitch to hit it hard. I'm sorry. I think Manny knows ball better than I do. I think he knows ball better than you do. That's what I'm saying. And he is one of the best ever with the bases loaded. He is. The numbers are right there. Is he having a good season? No.
Terrible.
No, he's not.
Terrible year,
He's
man.
not.
Terrible. Yep. Hit the ball hard today. Dylan Cease on the bump. Go out and get yourself a win.
I hope so. Hope so. All right, let's take a break from this, just for my personal sanity for the moment, and play a little game.
You rarely let the chat get to
I
you.
know.
I used to way more than you do, but you are very,
Let's
very
play a little
flustered.
Take on Woods. So, Paul, who are we going to play with today?
Paul,
no. Who are we going to play with? Paul's gone. So now we got to pick someone else.
Paul's on first.
Was Ruben. Ruben was gone.
We're just going to take a random call.
Paul's gone. All right, who's this?
All right,
Caller,
97 through the
line
fan.
3. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, this is Jay.
Jay. Is that what you said? Jay?
Yeah, Jay.
Jay, are you calling in for Take on Woods?
I am.
All right, then you are our contestant. Congratulations. You stayed on the line long enough to have your opportunity to win a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and 2 tickets to Warrant, Lita Ford, and Paralanda on June 22nd. Check out the Westgate's $70 million in room renovations, home of legendary Vegas fun. Do need to tell you all that Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. All right, here are the categories today to choose from. Double Trouble, still sitting there. 5 bands with double words in their name. A View to a Killer, word killer, key to all the questions and answers. And our new category, Soundtracks of the 90s. That one a little different. I'll give you 3 song titles. You need to tell me which motion picture they all appear together on the soundtrack in the 1990s. So, Jay, Double Trouble, A View to a Killer, or Soundtracks of the 90s? What would you like to play?
Let's try Double Trouble.
Double Trouble. Okay, today we are looking for 5 bands with double words in their name. You'll have 60 seconds. Answer as many as you can. First questions are 2-second song. Paulie's going to play you a little hit, well-known hit. You need to give me the title of the song and that artist with the double name to score that point. If you don't know, once they pass, we'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. Jay, are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Category is Double Trouble. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Jay. Let's take on Woods.
Pass.
Which band's 1985 album Welcome to the Real World included hit singles Broken Wings and Kiri?
Pass.
Belinda Carlisle sang lead vocals for which all-girl rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1978?
Heart.
Incorrect. Which English band was best known for songs including It's My Life and a self-titled single released in 1982? Remember the category.
Duran Duran.
Incorrect. Which post-punk rock band had their best success of the 1990s with songs including Dogs of Lust and Jealous of Youth?
Man, it's a tough category.
Yeah. I don't think it's that. I'll see, Jay. I think Woods is going to get you pretty easily here. Let's. I'll just leave them all out there, and just everyone can play along one more time, since that was a 0 there.
That was tough.
That was a tough one today. Curious to see how Woods does on this one. I'm expecting big things from Woodsy. All right, no category for you. Let's put 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Jay.
That's Hungry Like the Wolf, Duran Duran.
It is not.
No!
Which band's 1985 album Welcome to the Real World included hit singles Broken Wings and Kiri?
Mr.
Correct. Belinda Carlisle sang lead vocals for which all-girl rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1978?
The Go-Go's.
Correct. Which English band best known for songs including It's My Life and a self-titled single released in 1982?
Come back to it.
Which post-punk rock band had their best run of success in the 1990s with songs including Dogs of Lust and Jealous of Youth?
Dogs of Lust, Jealous of Youth. XTC? No. Go back to the other one.
Which English band was best known for songs including It's My Life and a self-titled
What's the
single
name of that band?
released in 1982?
Stupid No Doubt singing it. What's the name of that band?
Come on.
Don't you forget. I don't know. I'm all
Can
frazzled.
you think of a category now?
No.
Wow, this was a
I
tougher
think it's like
category.
80s, right?
You won. What did you get? 2? Rio by Duran Duran.
Didn't get that one.
Mr.
No.
Mister, The Go-Go's, Talk Talk, and The.
Talk and the.
It was Double Trouble.
Double Trouble.
Bands
okay,
with
no.
double words in their names.
I think that might have helped me a little bit.
Yeah.
I won, what, 2-1?
0.
2-0.
Yeah, it was a shutout today. Duran Duran, Mr. Mister, Go-Go's, Talk Talk, The. All double words in their names. All right, well, you know what? Even the stars sometimes don't come through
That's
when
true.
you think they're going to.
Hey, I won.
In the clutch. You did
My
win.
process was fine.
Woods just swinging first pitch and saying,
I did. I literally did.
Yeah, you
saying hungry like the
You're
wolf.
just taking one for the, for the team there.
Wow.
Probably could have done a little bit better.
Interesting.
All right, we got Don't Do This is coming up next. I have a couple of Do This entries, actually. Maybe we need like an all Do This
Just
episode just to
keep it positive.
cleanse us today. Because I've got multiple entries, including a great joke on a Major League Baseball broadcast, which we'll probably play the audio for next with Ben and Woods After Traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
on 97.3 The Fan.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
See, that's what I like to hear. We're going to try to change the tone a little bit with an all do this.
Oh, I'm sure it'll work.
Edition of Don't Do This morning. It's brought to you by the Kraft Taco.
I can just picture Fernando waking up, listening to Ben and Woods. He goes, "Oh, they're changing up the vibes. We got to
vibes are changed.
All right, we got this.
It's not Fernando who needs the vibes changed. It's the entire Tier 1 community here.
Yes,
I feel like
Ben
needs
is
a little vibe change.
He's getting. You guys are all on Higgins' S list.
Here's a do this. Go to the Kraft Taco in Sorrento Valley. Some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thekrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today. thekrafttaco.com. All right, I will start. I thought this was a cool little gimmick last night for the Astros-A's game. Now, we know our friend Jenny Kavnar is the first full-time female play-by-play announcer in baseball, doing it nightly for the Oakland A's. But with a game against the Astros last night, the Astros decided, let's make a little baseball history. And their regular television play-by-play voice, Todd Callis, decided to switch roles with their dugout reporter, their scan, as it were, Julia Morales. And he went down and became the sideline reporter. Julia Morales did the play-by-play, creating the first ever all-female play-by-play for both teams in Major League Baseball history. And Julia got a good one. The Astros won 9-2. Got to call a couple of home runs from the hot Alex Bregman.
Hits this one hard. Get out, ball. That's 2. 2 for 2.
Congratulations to Julia Morales. Big moment, and Major League Baseball making a little female history last night.
And this is something that I have not seen the odds on this happening. Has this ever happened before? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But last night in the Mariners game, this happened.
I lift the opposite way. MJ Melendez is into the corner, and you talk about a basket catch in its truest form. Hot start for that. The 1-1.
Yep. Now, that was not the left field.
No,
that was a guy in the stands.
Yeah, he was in the front row, right along the, just in front of the foul pole. Like
kind of where the seats start to cut up towards the foul pole.
Just outside the left field corner. And he made a great catch right there, a Mariners fan in jersey in the first row.
And then the very next pitch.
The 1-1. Again, this one a little straightened out a little bit more. Let's see. Into the corner. What we got? He's got both! He got them both!
Same dude. Caught 2 foul balls.
And this was not one of those games that maybe you've seen at the Oakland Coliseum with 69 fans in attendance. Like, it was a normal attendance.
Game.
It just, the ball went right to the exact same location and the same exact guy, back-to-back pitches.
That's got to be in the billions. Right? Are you looking up odds right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. One in like 1.25 million of that happening. 1.25 million. You figure there's about 40,000 seats in the ballpark, like the odds that it goes to the exact same spot. It's probably a little higher than that because obviously a right-handed pull hitter or a left-hand. I mean, there's certain places where they hit more foul balls. Like no one's hitting one to the upper deck out in center field in some places, so not every seat has an equal opportunity to catch a foul ball.
That is nuts.
But in terms of just kind of randomness, that was crazy.
I think it's
2
straight
straight pitches.
That. I mean, I think the proper equation is like you got to take the volume of the stadium, the speed of the pitch, the batting. Like, it's insane that happened.
That is nuts. Nuts. And the last one, Ben, I'm going to let you handle this one.
All right, fine. I will handle this one. And this comes from another Major League Baseball broadcast last night. The Braves taking on the Chicago Cubs. And this one goes to Braves television announcer Brandon Gaudin, who I think I love this process. He approached the game the way I do our Mock the Draft segment every year, trying to find the right combination of just perfect names to just combine together in some broadcast greatness. And he did with the Cubs. Was it Mike Mastrobuoni?
I believe it's Mike.
Matt Mastrobuoni at the plate.
But Brad Hand is no longer here. Pierce Johnson's on the IL, so
It's a solo mission for Mastrobuoni tonight.
Miles Mastrobuoni.
Which is kind of fitting, I suppose. And he takes a strike at the knees.
Brad Hand.
No longer here. Pierce Johnson's on the injured
Pierce
list.
Johnson's on the injured
So it's
list.
a solo mission for Miles Mastrobuoni.
Does he get in trouble for that?
Depends on who his boss is.
Our boss wouldn't get us in trouble for that.
No. But there are some who would probably say, hey, cool it, man.
Oh, my God.
This is family broadcast. We don't want to hear that.
Miles Mastrobuoni.
I think it's perfect.
But Brad Hand is no longer here. Pierce Johnson's on the IL, so it's a solo mission for Mastrobuoni tonight.
They're all legitimate
Which is
players.
kind of fitting, I suppose.
It's not like he's
Are
making
they all
anybody
Braves?
up.
Is Brad Hand a Brave?
Brad Hand was. He's no longer here. Pierce Johnson is, but he's on the injured list.
Interesting.
Mike Mastrobuoni is on the Cubs. Matt Miles. I don't want to keep saying Mike.
That's very good.
It's his name.
That's a very, very, very good. That's a very good joke. Very clever. Miles Mastrobuoni. And we've played them a couple of times. I haven't made one joke. Not one. I even tweeted about how I didn't make a joke a few weeks ago.
Well, you can't come through every time once.
Oh, man.
And that's do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Now, thank you to Ken. He just let us know that MLB actually 14 minutes ago posted the video of that fan in Seattle catching back-to-back foul balls. They said the probability of catching 2 straight foul balls, according to Google Cloud, is 0.00001%.
That's
or
unreal.
1 in 1.25 million, like I just said.
The other way to look at it, Paulie.
Well done. I'm saying you were right.
Fair enough.
I didn't think you were right.
All right. The Stars are not being the Stars for the San Diego Padres. I think that's something we all can agree on, even the ones that are battling right now in our chat today. Padres need their stars to be stars. Is there anything that should be done about it? Any lineup changes?
Send them down, yeah.
Let's not go too extreme here, Woods. We'll get into more Padres talk after this with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Feel like I've had to defend Manny Machado a lot this morning.
You don't have to.
No, I mean, let's talk about it. He's having a really bad season. I was just looking at the numbers again during the break. So far, Manny Machado, is basically, after the last 2 days where Xander Bogaerts has hit 2 home runs, they're pretty much neck and neck now at having awful numbers. We'll go through some of them here. And I want to ask the question, like, what would you do about it? What can you realistically try to do here to get the Padres, top paid players performing at least a little closer to where you need them to be if you want to get to the postseason at the end of the year? That's our topic coming up here. Let's check traffic. We'll get into it on the other side here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Just a few problems here. One of them is this collision on the Ocean View off-ramp southbound 15, and someone's dropped a table in middle lanes on southbound 805 before Murray Ridge. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Now, for much of the season, Xander Bogaerts, as we all know, has looked almost lost at the plate. Last couple of days have definitely been better. 2 home runs in 2 days. Still has only lifted his OPS to 581. And his WAR is an abysmal negative 0.1. He's below a replacement level player at this point for the San Diego Padres, but showing signs of coming out of it. Manny Machado, not a ton better. He's got 5 home runs. That's 1 more than Xander. His OPS is just 640. And because he's only played limited third base so far, even the defensive bump that he usually gets in his WAR is not there. He's at 0.1. So 0.2 ahead of Xander at this point in the year. Not much better for your 2 highest paid players right now. Fernando's got a big contract as well, but a lot of that still hasn't kicked in. The 2 guys who are getting the most right now are producing among the least in your San Diego Padres lineup. Is there anything else that Mike Shildt can do about that?
Other than just run them out there like Acuna gets run out there, like Goldschmidt gets run out there, like some of the other stars, the Julio Rodriguez of baseball are getting run out there? The answer, I think the answer is pretty clear. No. I mean, no. There's nothing you can do. You put out your best lineup, and your best lineup, make no bones about it, has Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado in it. Just not at the rate that they're currently performing. But you absolutely run them out there every day and hope that their track record will catch up to it. And I guess, if there's any bright side to it, we have seen Manny with the ability to carry this team for weeks at a time, certainly. We have also seen Xander have really, really hot stretches as well. Would you love a more consistent baseball player? Yeah, you would. You'd love less streaks, certainly. Streaky is crazy, man. Streaky is it's like having a field goal kicker that makes 10 in a row and then misses 10 in a row. You're like, a miss here and there is okay. But, the streaky up and down stuff is really tough, especially when you factor in the money. The money. That's the people that look at the money and go, this, you got to come through there. I said it as well. I can also say that while saying I wasn't super pissed off at the process last night at all. But I do think that those guys in particular need to come through. As far as the top of the order last night, I said it before the show yesterday. Dakota Hudson coming in. This is where your stars have to go and take the reins. Shouldn't need Jackson Merrill to hit a bomb or Jurickson Profar, who's been phenomenal this year. It shouldn't count on them. Against Dakota Hudson, that's where Manny and Xander and Arise and Tatis, they need to eat last night. That's how you get your numbers up in a down year. That's exactly how you get those baseball card numbers up. And it just didn't happen last night.
So everyone else, essentially, is doing all right. The other regulars in the lineup, Jackson Merrill, 1.4 WAR. As a rookie, he's on pace for about a 5 to 6 WAR season. That would be phenomenal. Jurickson Profar, 1.2 WAR. He's been terrific. Ha-Seong Kim is offensively, he can do better, but even at 686 OPS and with the defense he plays, he's at a 1.1 WAR. Jake, 1.3 WAR, on pace for a 4 to 5. You'll take that from Jake every year.
Every year.
And Tatis, while he's certainly capable of much more, with 8 home runs and a 770 OPS, not as good as we'd like. He's at a 1.1 WAR as well. He's not the guy that's hurting the team. It really is Xander and Manny who have struggled, and I don't think anyone's going to deny that. What are the explanations, the possible explanations for it? Well, both of them are, getting now into their early 30s.
Yeah.
You could say, are they hitting their just inevitable decline
How
a little
Manny?
bit early?
31? 30.
30,
Okay,
I think.
This isn't. He's got a few more years left of his prime. He's just not playing.
He's 31. You'd certainly expect that he has a few more years of his prime. It's not guaranteed. There have been guys who have declined after they've hit 30. Padres aren't expecting a decline from either Manny or Xander for at least another 4 or 5 years, though. If it truly is, both of these guys are now just this player, well, those will go down as, Anthony Rendon-esque, horrible mistakes that will really put the organization in a bad spot for the next decade. There are other explanations, though. Other explanations for Manny include coming off major elbow surgery without the normal offseason, without the normal spring training, a very odd start of the year where he's DHing and just hasn't been able to get locked in and, feeling like his normal self and normal confident self at the plate. I think, to me, that's the most likely explanation for Manny's struggles early in the season. Not that he is simply, not the player that he always was, or that he's going to now, this is the new Manny going forward. I think that's pretty unlikely. With Xander, what are the other explanations? Well, there's the position switch, could be, in his head. I know a lot of people talk about that. Simply just a crisis of confidence. I think we've seen some of that as well. Or you can argue that he is also just on the decline now and not going to be the player that he's always going to be. Even if the worst case scenario is true, you really have to let it play out for months and years, not a week or two before you make a major rash decision about either of those players. Ultimately, Mike Schilt has no choice but to pencil those guys in the lineup, 6 out of 7 days, 14 out of 15 days.
Yeah,
they're just not going anywhere. And there's no manager in baseball that would do anything different other than continue to play those guys until hopefully they snap out of it and start hitting like they normally hit.
Yep. And both have showed small signs of busting out. It just hasn't continued, hasn't carried over. And listen, I'm running them out there, and I think the majority of the fan base is going to run them out there as well. I don't know what you do. It's not like those guys don't work, and it's not like they don't care. I hate the don't care attitude that I see a lot. It is what it is, man. I think that these cats are very, very talented baseball players, and I expect them to have a big day today because that's what we need them to do. We need them to come through, and the top of the order's got to do better than 0 for 15 tonight. They just have to. They have to do better than that. Who's on the bump for Colorado today?
Cal Quantrill,
Oh.
Andy Ashby's son-in-law.
Yeah. Cal with a chip on his shoulder, most definitely something to prove. But yeah, this is what we need. We need those guys to be better than they were last night. We need them to be better than they have been all season. And, Xander hitting the home run was nice in a couple days in a row, certainly. But, all of those guys, man, he needs to get on last night. His job is to get on base. He got on base once with a walk, but he needs to hit. All these guys need to hit at the top of the order. 0 for 15 is not going to win you a lot of ball games. And a lot of credit goes to the bottom last night. Jackson Merrill, phenomenal game. Jurickson Profar continuing to get it done for this team. And I'm not overly panicked yet. They're a 500 ball club. That's what we said that they would.
Corey suggests, you could bat Manny deeper in the lineup, hit him 7 and 8, and not at the 4 hitter right now. You could do that if you wanted to. The question is, who are you going to change? You already have Jake and Jurickson. Do you move Jackson Merrill up in the order? He's not a power hitter, despite his home run yesterday. He's not a guy who's going to give you a ton of extra base there. Arise, the same thing. He's already hitting at the top of the lineup. Ha-Seong Kim hasn't gotten going yet. Campusano is doing all right offensively. He's hitting for a higher average than Manny, but he only has 3 home runs. He has less than Manny. Who are you wanting to move up in the order if you're going to move Manny down in the order? I don't know that the Padres have an obvious candidate to take over as a cleanup hitter if you feel like Manny should be dropped down in the order.
I mean, Profar maybe.
You could switch the two and have Profar hitting fourth and Manny fifth.
I really don't care. They just got to do their jobs. That's really what it boils down to is they got to do their jobs. Top of the order did not get it done last night. Starting pitching did not get it done last night. The bullpen really did a nice job. But, yeah, hey, man, I can't, our buddy Mike, who I just adore. I think he's a very, very smart baseball fan. He said, look, if you're listening to Ben and Woods for Fire and Brimstone, you're probably not going to get it. And I said, and I wrote him back and I said, I've mellowed a lot over the years. I have. I said the screaming and yelling that I used to do started to feel a bit performative at times. Therapy has made me a better overall person. It's also made me a little bit, it makes it a little bit easier to swallow losses last night and move on to the next day. The old Pete Fairbanks 16 minutes of sulk is a really, really good way to get through it. Doesn't mean I'm not pissed. Doesn't mean I don't think that they squandered one last night, because I absolutely do. You got to whip up on teams like that. You got to. And they didn't. They didn't. Had their chances many, many times in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings and did not get the job done. You can't let it stick in your craw if you're a player, though, either. Doesn't matter. It's over. You got to go out and win today, and you got to find a way to win this series. And then you got a gnarly series against the Braves coming up, and you're going to run into some good players there as well. So it's the process of the baseball season. It's not what fans want to hear. You want to hear me call for Manny's head, call him a bum. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to. It's not who I am anymore.
Some of the numbers that Kevin Acee had this morning in the UT. Manny's in a 1-for-22 skid right now. So clearly is slumping. Just one home run in his past 83 at-bats. But he's also the guy who has finished in the top 5 in the MVP voting 4 times from 2013 to 2022. 837 OPS guy.
I think what people fear, and I think it's a valid fear, you do fear when you're one of your superstars that's high paid, has a surgery, is trying to come back from it, can't really get it going. You do fear the decline. You always fear the decline of your favorite player. If you're a Yankee fan and you love Aaron Judge, you're like, oh, God, we just paid him $600 million or whatever, and he's not really playing all that well right now.
Angels know this well. Albert
the Angels
Pujols,
know it well.
Anthony Rendon. I mean, they've had bad
and listen,
long-term contracts.
Trust me, man, I'm with you. I getting older, watching your favorite player getting older sucks. It sucks. Very few guys do it until they're 40 and then right off into the sunset. And I never faltered, especially in this game. So it's eating people alive, and I totally am sympathetic to that. I don't think we've seen the best of Manny Machado this year, and I know that there's a lot more in him. And again, defensively, I still put him above everybody else at third base that there is. But you got to come through with the bat. Yeah, absolutely.
He did acknowledge last week, and this wasn't an excuse after last night's double play, but he did say last week, and Manny, he did not talk about his elbow last year. It was killing him for most of the season, and he hit 30 home runs, but it was killing him. He did say, there are good days and bad days. I'm not even 8 months out, meaning 8 months out from the major surgery, and he says it's not 100% yet. He is not feeling 100% healthy again. The recovery takes longer than just the 8 months. He was always pushing it to get back for the start of this season. Had a setback in spring training. Remember, he started throwing. We were there the day he was already throwing across. Then they had to shut him down. He has had some ups and downs in this recovery. So he's not at 100%. When will that happen? I have no idea how long that's going to take, when he's going to feel back to being himself. And there's no guarantee that even when he is 100% that he immediately goes back to being Manny at the plate. But that is also a factor that you can't just ignore when it comes to his slow start this year. We expected somewhat of a slow start for Manny Machado, didn't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we all acknowledge, Manny's probably going to be better later in the season because of the surgery than he will be earlier in the season?
Yeah,
because
I hope so. Yeah.
The DHing is hard to get used to, and not having a full spring training is going to be difficult for Manny. He's probably going to struggle in the first half of the season more than he usually does. We all acknowledged this early in the year before it all happened. So now that it's happening, it doesn't seem like the time to then hit the panic button. When something that we expected to happen is kind of happening, I don't feel like that's the panic button moment. It's when the unexpected, like Xander is a little more unexpected. Thought he'd be healthier this year. I thought he would be having a better season than last year. The fact that he is struggling, at least was until the last couple of days, was more concerning to me than Manny's struggle.
Sure. Yeah, me too. David says, Woods, we also don't want to hear you guys say do nothing, which is kind of what you're saying. I mean, what do you do, Dave? Again, I'm a solution-based person. I'll bitch and piss and moan about everything. Ask my wife. What's the solution? More BP? More front toss? Axe bat? Drop him in the order? I'm open to anything. I'm sure he is too. I'm sure Xander is too. What do you want me to say?
If he truly could use a couple of weeks to get even more close to 100%, and you had to put
Tyler Wade,
and you had to put Donovan Solano at third. Now you do have a slightly deeper bench that you could go with. Normally, even Manny at less than 100% is a better option than what the Padres have had. It's not the unheard of that you take a star who's struggling and give him a couple of weeks off on a injured list, especially someone with a legitimate injury. If you think that's going to help, you could do that. I tend to think that at some point you are risking more than you're gaining, though. Not having Manny, he could have got on fire for that second week of the injured list stint, and then you're missing what could have been the best week of his season because you just put him on the injured list for no reason.
Zach just nailed it, actually, in the chat. We have solutions with the bunting practice with point values and middle names.
That's Steve's
Son
solutions.
of a bitch. Zach, you nailed it, man. You nailed it.
I saw someone say Manny should have bunted with the bases loaded.
Saw that as well. That is some good take, guys.
So it's a force at home plate
it's
there.
really, really good. What are you going to do?
We'll talk to Jesse about it in our next hour.
Yes.
Jesse's always got good perspective on things. He will join us. We'll play the Incorporate. If you want to get your Incorporator words going for the next 30 minutes, we'd love to hear your suggestions. It's all coming up. More Ben and Woods on the way on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home for the love of God on Ben and Woods 97.3, The Fan. It's good to be here with you. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Been a fun one today, this morning. I actually, during Don't Do This, was having a panic attack, which is a weird thing to happen. And I don't think it's brought on by, like, arguing about baseball. It just happens. It's the weirdest thing. You ever get panic attacks, Benny?
Yes, I think so.
Do you think? You're not sure?
You feel like you're going to have like a heart attack and die?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I've had a couple of those.
They start in my chest, and it feels like there's an elephant that's standing firmly on my chest. If you go back and watch the video during Don't Do This, you'll see me like fighting through it. My ears start to pop as well. My ears get real. They feel like they're filled up with something. And it's the weirdest feeling to go through. I'm over it now, but dude, it's the first time that's ever happened in the middle of a show.
Never had one during a show.
No, I don't think so. I don't
think I've had one during a show either. I haven't had one in a while. If you've ever experienced a panic attack, and I'm not even 100% sure that that's what I've had, but I think most of us probably do at some point. The first one or two are very scary. Because you don't know what's happening to you. You think it's a medical issue and that, it's time to call the ambulance. And then it kind of passes. And as I've had a couple of them over the years, and I don't think I have particularly severe ones, and it's been a while, if I recognize right away, like you seem to be able to recognize right away that that's what's happening at least.
After so many over the years, I know exactly.
You can just kind of lean into it and ride it out for a second and go, okay, I know what this is. I know this is just my body playing a little trick on me. Give it a couple of minutes and hopefully it'll pass. And you'll go, why did that happen?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry for that for you.
It's gnarly. It's gnarly. It's not a heart attack, Edgar. It's not a stroke.
You're trying to give him a panic attack here, Edgar?
I've had these before. It's the weirdest thing, and like Hannah will be talking to me sometimes, and I'll just have to like hold up a hand. I'm like, I just got to get through it. I had one on Mother's Day. We're driving to her mom's house, and she's talking to me, and I'm like, I can't talk right now. So I don't know what it is, but it just happens, man. It's so weird when it happens. So I'll be all right. I'm good.
I will commend you. You are very forthright and honest about all of your mental struggles that you've had. I'm not the same way. I find it hard to necessarily admit my shortcomings and flaws, at least on the radio in front of our entire audience. And you are very open, and I think that's an incredible service. And I hope Tier 1s out there, Paulie, I hope they appreciate how raw Woods can be sometimes and show, the good and the bad, and that it's okay. I think it helps people out there just knowing that life isn't always perfect.
No.
Even for us, we love what we do. I think we get along really well. We're in a good situation here. Can't really ask for anything more than what we've got, but that doesn't make everything perfect all the time in our life, and it doesn't prevent you from having to go through panic attacks and things like that at times.
I had such a crap day as a dad yesterday, too. That probably didn't help. You just have those good days and bad days when you're a parent sometimes where you're like, this is great. My son and I were arguing about a baseball glove, and it's really been sticking in my craw. Like, I got him a glove. Our pal Baseball Nick gave him a glove a couple years ago. He's little, just learning the game. And he's got tiny little hands, right? Like they're teeny tiny little hands. And he couldn't get it, we're trying to break it in, it won't break in. And so he's been using that, those like Padres, like they're almost like giveaway gloves. Like they're like plastic, they're not leather, they're not real leather.
Right.
Kid picks everything with that glove. And he's, he wants a real glove, though, because he's about to start kind of real baseball. And I said, yeah, man, you get you a real glove, or let's work on breaking that one in. Go down to Dick's yesterday. We tried 15 gloves on. It doesn't work, right? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, we got to work on the one that we have at home. And then he got all pissy with me. And it's like, fine, I just won't play baseball anymore. And I looked at him, and that's when I got hot. And I was like, don't threaten me. Like, I'm not going to be the dad that forces you to play baseball. Like, if you want to play baseball, That's on you. So we actually got we argue like we're adults, me and my 6-year-old, because he acts like an adult and I treat him like one. And we're arguing back and forth. And we argued about it all night. And I went to bed, pissed off, and he went to bed pissed off. I walked in this morning, gave him a kiss on his forehead, and told him I was sorry. It was a bad parental day, and I hate bad parental days.
Does anyone, this is a real question for tier ones, anybody who is a parent, does anyone ever think I am a really good parent? Like I am a great parent.
You feel like there are days when you have it clocked, like you've got it all figured out. You got their diet right. They're eating all the stuff that they like it and it's healthy. And you feel like I'm really knocking this out of the park. It's such a fleeting moment. It's maybe 15 minutes of like, yeah, I got these little turds figured out.
And no,
I got them sleeping.
There are moments where you feel like you're doing it right. But I think ultimately, I've never 100% felt like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a great parent.
Right.
I am great at certain things about being a parent. I'm very supportive. I'm patient. I'm understanding. But then I always feel like I'm lacking in terms of, do I need to be harder on my kids sometimes?
And mine is, do I need to be softer on my kids?
I'm not a great disciplinarian when it comes to, making sure. Am I not setting them up for success enough by being too understanding and too patient, knowing that, life is hard. Hey, you guys are doing great. Really proud of you. They're really good kids. I don't feel like I don't want to be that dad that's always, oh yeah, but you could be doing more. Yay, that's great, but there's always more. But how do you ever inspire someone to be greater if you're not kind of, pushing a little bit more? So where do you find that right line? I never feel like I never feel like you're completely dialed in, like you're in the right spot. Like, oh, I'm just the right amount of understanding, but motivational, but disciplinarian. It just never feels like you're in the right zone as a parent.
Yeah, honestly, and like the game was so secondary, to me last night after my crap dad moment. That, yeah, I was pissed, I really am pissed about the game, but my crap dad moment is really what's been sticking in my craw all day and probably is the cause of my anxiety attack. And I think that's exactly what it is. I went to the bathroom. My wife sent me a video. You know what he was doing this morning? Had the glove, and he had the little mallet, and he was beating it to break it in. Yeah, I'm about to cry. So it was just one of those moments where I was like, yeah, I'm pissed that they lost and everything else, but I was really mostly mad at myself for just being an absolute turd of a father yesterday.
I think Carrie has the best comment I've seen this morning. She said, I heard a long time ago, if you question if you're a good parent, then you are a good parent.
That's
Bad
a good
parents
one.
Don't ask
They
that
don't.
question.
Yes, that's really, really good.
I like that.
I read something, too, that said parenting is really hard for parents that care, and I went, all right, that's fine. But, it just one of those days, and now all you do is you just try to be better today and be more patient. I'm not the world's most patient person, man. But yeah, so I
am.
Margie says
I am the world's most patient person, and I don't think that's always the right way to go either, though, Woods. Like, sometimes I wish I had a little more Woods, like, snap temper in me a little bit.
It is funny because Ben and I give each other a lot of, his kids are older, and my kids are younger. And Ben's like, well, why are you Ben will be like, why are you so hard on your kids? I'm like, why are you so easy on yours? It's just one of those weird things that happens. Margie says, wait till your boys want Bolt batting gloves, which are $130 each for batting gloves. Oh, guess who? Don't let him hear that, dude. He will.
I'm sure
Dad, I want some
Costco
bolts.
has some batting gloves that are just fine. Maybe better.
Man.
Who knows? Who knows? There's no reason to spend $130 on batting gloves.
Yep. It's tough, man. That was a tough night for me, honestly. And then the game thrown on top of it was rough as well. But, listen, you just like baseball, you live and fight another day,
What's the here's my parental dilemma. We got a couple more minutes here in Foreplay. We never really got to Foreplay this morning because we got right into the game, so I just need a quick little respite from it. So living in San Diego, knowing how high the cost of living is, and how difficult it is to, get a place of your own, even with roommates, and pay rent. When is it okay to try to push the kids out the door at some point?
Because
I don't think that it's even fair to ask. I mean, my 18-year-old's got a job, 20-year-old's looking right now, is in between, but they're both good boys. They're when is it like, am I being a bad parent by not kicking them out of the nest at some point?
The kick out move is tough. The kick out move is really hard. I saw something too that said like, hey man, if your kids leave home and they try and they don't get it done, it's like, hey man, if things get too tough, if things get too hairy out there, you can't swing it. You always have a place here. I do agree with that. I do want to raise independent thinkers and independent guys that want to go out and do it on their own. But man, I'm also not. It's gonna be a hard line to take of like, sorry pal, you're 18, hit the door. Now I wanted to go. Soon as I got a chance to leave the nest, I flew away. But guess what? When things got hairy, guess where I had a place to go? I had a place to go when I was home. That makes your decision making a little different too.
Yeah. Courtney's on the line calling in here to Ben and Woods this morning. Hello, Courtney.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So I love the question about am I a good parent or not? And when our firstborn was born and then growing into his toddler years, he was such a easy kid to raise. We're like, we're such good parents. Like, we've got this. I don't know what people are complaining about. Like, no terrible twos, anything. And then the next one came along and just gave us a total, like, ride for our money. I mean, he just put us through the ringer. So I think the fact that you apologized at the end of, or this morning, and then at the end of the day last night, I think that just, it shows you're human and everybody makes mistakes, and it teaches your kids, compassion and empathy. And so owning up to your mistakes, I think, is one of the biggest lessons you can teach your kids.
Thank you.
Good job.
No, I appreciate it. And yeah, and honestly, that has been the mood dictator for me. Not Manny swinging at a first pitch fastball after a guy walks bases loaded. It really is. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. I hate that loss. Manny needs to do better. Manny needs to do better. He's got to do better. He makes too much money to fail in that scenario. That being said, I'm too good of a dad to be as crap of a dad as I was last night. And I think that's what's kind of bothering me today. So.
Well, that works for you because you're human and, you have your ups and downs. Everyone knows I'm not really human.
That's fair.
That's fair. It doesn't totally apply to me. I'm a bit of an alien when it comes to certain things.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I may need different approach entirely.
So. It's hard. I mean, booting your kids out at 18 for like when they don't have anywhere to go or like any direction.
I'm not going to do that.
You can't do it.
I'm not going to do that.
Then again, you also don't want them to be 40 and be like,
Dad, bro,
the meatloaf. Like you can't have it. It's a fine line.
My mom was a great mom, single mom. I made her life hell when I was a teenager and in high school. And when I got into San Diego State, it was the only big school that I wanted to go to. And when I got in, it was done. I mean, I was talking to my counselor, like, how do I make this happen? What are student loans?
See you later.
And I'm done. And my mom's like, she knew this would be a good fit for me. She knew it would work out well. I didn't know a single person in San Diego. And she's always like, Highline Community College is here. You could live at home. And I'm like, I know you want me to stay, but you got to let me go. And she did.
Let the bird fly.
And she knew that.
I tell my wife all the time, don't you dare. If I'm dead and gone, let them both go live on the East Coast, live on they'll always come back here because why wouldn't you, right? Well, they'll always matriculate back to San Diego. That I'm not worried about. But let them go, cut their wings a little bit and cut their teeth in a big city or a big college or whatever. But whatever they want to do is fine. So that's my big reason I probably had a mini meltdown on the air this morning. So I do apologize.
All right. Mental health and parental talk aside, we do have to get back to the Padres discussion.
Do we?
And, well, a little bit. We don't have to relitigate the end of the game yesterday. And we've said our part. I don't have a problem with Manny swinging at the first pitch.
I wish he would have come through.
I thought maybe it wasn't the best pitch to swing at, but when I saw that he hit it 105 miles an hour, I mean, maybe he needed to wait for something that was a little more up in the zone. That's splitting hairs, though. That's splitting hairs. Other people disagree. They think Manny should have been taken all the way until, what?
Take till you get one, I guess?
1, 2 strikes. I mean, what happens when you fall behind and put yourself in a bad position? I don't know.
We got great comments in the chat about the Parenthood. Robert says, my first kid made me love parenting, made me think it was easy. My 3-year-old has me questioning being a father and if I'm good at it. And then a good suggestion here for you, Benny. from Luke says, Woods, check out the Glove Shack for Bo. Ben, charge the boys modest rent to stay home. Put it in savings for them. It's a good bit.
That's not a bad idea.
What would rent be at Ben's house? Coming up next.
First, a little check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Once again, we're probably the only show on a sports radio station in America that hasn't done an in-depth, deep dive into the first game of the NFL season being announced.
Oh, when is that?
It is September 5th. It'll be the Chiefs and the Ravens in a rematch of the AFC Championship game. That came out yesterday. So, as always, the Super Bowl champs getting to host that first game. Also came out today that the second game for the Chiefs going to be Chiefs-Bengals. So, 2 premium games in the first 2 weeks for the Kansas City Chiefs against 2 of the other top quarterbacks and contenders in the AFC right off the bat. I mean,
I wish I had a team to root for.
Remember the?
It's like that's the whole problem with, with like, you know, we talked about the NBA last week, and I'm like, I think I'd have a more vested interest if I had a team to root for.
Remember the Chiefs lost their opener last year,
Yep,
defending their Super Bowl title.
To the Jets. Jets?
No, it wasn't
no,
the
it wasn't the Jets.
It was at the.
Who was it?
Was it the Bengals last year?
I just feel like I lost a tremendous amount of money on that game. I remember.
There's the Lions.
The Lions.
Yeah, it was Dan Campbell and the Lions.
Dan Campbell
beat
and the Lions.
21-20.
That's right.
Of course, major panic time for the Chiefs. Obviously, hangover from the Super Bowl. They ended up actually doing all right last year.
Played pretty well.
They did win another Super Bowl at the end of the season, in fact, as the 2-time defending champions. But, yeah, they've got a gnarly stretch to open the season, at least for the first 2 games with the Ravens and the Bengals right off the top of the season. So we are getting into schedule release territory. It's going to happen, I think they said later this week. All the team. I saw the features about how all the teams now take this as their social media teams. It's like the biggest day of the season for them because they all have to come up with the most clever way.
Yes,
to release the schedule, whether it's celebrities or Twitter threads of different the schedules as Pop-Tarts or whatever. They're all coming up. It's like a competition among the teams as who can do the schedule release better than everybody else.
It's good content. It really is. And hey, listen, I know you hate the Chargers. They've been doing a pretty good job with their social media.
They actually were
interviewing
interviewing the Chargers, and they had their. It was ESPN did a feature, and they had the woman who runs their social media accounts, and probably the best thing that the Chargers do. And they asked her, "Is schedule release your Super Bowl?" And she goes, "Well, I mean, we'd like the Super Bowl to be our Super Bowl, but I guess for now, we're just going to have to settle for the schedule release."
It's so true, dude. Well, we just played our World Series over the weekend,
right.
So, I mean, we can relate, certainly, but they do, I'm not a big fan of rooting for them or really any team in the NFL. I love matchups. I love fantasy. I love the players, but...
Which team was it? I feel like it was... They showed the logos of each of the teams they were going to play and asking random people on the street, which team is this? That was great.
Was genius, man.
The flaming thumbtacks of Tennessee.
Yeah, so good, so good. All right, yeah, that's an interesting day for sure. Like I said, I wish I had a team to get super fired up about. Now the Chargers always end up drafting my beloved Fighting Irish on their team. They one a year at least. So it's just. But the Harbaugh connection for me is I'm now free and clear of ever having to root for the Chargers because I don't like Jim Harbaugh. And it's a good hire and all that, good for you guys, but I'm not a Jim Harbaugh guy.
I'm not as sold on the hire. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a Chargers hater through and through at this point, but I still feel like, even though he's had success literally everywhere he's gone, to me, he's just a little too weird necessarily for long-term success in the NFL. I know he was there in the Niners and, it went well for a while and then he went back to college. Sometimes things that play well in college don't always, like Marty Schottenheimer would, couple of years, people would get fired up for him and then they kind of get tired of Marty Schottenheimer. And I wonder if they'll get tired of Jim Harbaugh after a couple of years with the LA Chargers.
If you win, they won't. It cures everything.
But I don't think they're going to win right away. They got too much salary cap, digging out to do with the new general manager, some rebuilding, obviously losing some of the key stars. Maybe they'll be right. Maybe they'll surprise me and they'll be better right away. I think it's going to take a little bit of time if they are ever going to turn it around.
Story I saw yesterday about Jared Goff signing a huge extension. That made me very happy for him. I like him a lot. I like Jared Goff a lot, and I thought, man, that's a lot of dough for Jared Goff, but also he's a good quarterback.
The show that comes on before us, the national show, Maggie and Perloff, had a huge debate this morning. Who's the better quarterback having the better career, Jared Goff or Dak Prescott? And
Jared Goff, I think, yeah?
He's certainly taken his team deeper a couple of times. Got to the Super Bowl with the Rams, got to the NFC Championship last year with the Lions. Numbers-wise, though, Dak Prescott always puts up bigger numbers than Jared Goff does consistently, but always disappoints at the end of the season. Of course, Dak Prescott is looking for a big contract. The question was brought up because is he going to get a bigger contract than Jared Goff just got, or is he going to have to take a lesser contract?
I don't know.
Than the one Jared Goff just got.
I don't know.
It was a good story last year after getting traded from the Rams to have some success with the Lions in that franchise after Stafford, of course, goes and takes his team and wins the Super Bowl. That would have to sting for anyone. To have someone replace you and then go in and have the ultimate success right on your heels. As an athlete, that has to sting, right?
Yes.
So to get, the Lions to a place they had not been literally like ever, that was a good story last year for Jared Goff. Can they make the next step? Can they get to the Super Bowl? They'll have a chance this year. I would think that they'll be one of the favorites in the NFC, but they'll still have to get through the 49ers. I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be a good team as well again. They got a young, cheap quarterback. Yep. Mr. Irrelevant will be back, and another healthy season. I'd imagine they'll be very good. So we'll see what happens. A little NFL talk unexpectedly here on Ben and Woods on a Tuesday morning. All right, we'll come back. Jesse Agler is going to join us. We'll talk about his perspectives from last night's disappointing loss and last chance to get in incorporator words. I haven't seen a ton of suggestions, so send them right now in the chat or to our Ben and Woods Twitter feed.
Ass, and I loved it, by the way. Some smart ass said, have Jesse work in the word clutch. Impossible. And I went, you know what? SOB. That was a good one. That was a good one.
All right, get in your suggestions now. That's coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Got Jesse Agler standing by. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog, fresh human-grade dog food. From healthier weight to more energy, when you switch your dog's food to the Farmer's Dog, the effects can feel magical. What sorcery is this? None at all. It's just real food made for the health of dogs. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/radio. Jesse has had some amazing calls lately. Padres taking 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, the walk-off on Friday night by Luis Arraez. It's been fantastic. Of course, baseball doesn't always work that way, and last night we came up just short. We'll talk to Jesse about it right after the check traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Robert Half. Got some problems on our northbound freeways. Crash involving a motorcycle northbound 5 at East Street. It's in the center divide. Hit and run crash up ahead just past Pershing. That's over to the right shoulder. Northbound side of the 805 near the 8. We have reports of an accident in middle lanes. Then up ahead at Murray Ridge, some wood debris reported in that right lane. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
As we welcome Jesse Agler here to Ben & Woods on 97.3 The Fan, I can only imagine you were ready to bust out with a big-time call last night in the 7th inning, and then in the 8th inning, and then in the 9th inning. I mean, just right there. So many moments that could have been Jesse last night and just unfortunately never were.
Said sometimes you're the fuzzy end of the lollipop or something like that. I don't remember what the term is. But, yeah, I mean, little PTSD 2023 flashback night, with all those missed opportunities with guys in scoring position. I'm kind of the belief, and we'll get to last year in a second, but generally speaking, that if you're creating the opportunities on a regular basis, you're going to be fine. What you don't want to do is be in a situation where you don't have those chances, and then maybe, you cash it in every once in a while. I would rather create the opportunities with regularity and sort of know that there are going to be games like last night, which are kind of weird. Now, the problem last year, of course, was there came a point when we couldn't say that anymore because it was happening pretty much every time that they weren't cashing in those opportunities. But that has not been the case this year. And so hopefully, we'll look back at last night as kind of a one-off anomaly. I do think there was probably an element of effectively wild for the Rockies pitchers. No one in baseball ever wants to say that that's a thing, but I always have believed that it is, whether you want to talk about the A.J. Burnett no-hitter at Qualcomm or anything else. Right? Like sometimes you just, it's like, how am I supposed to swing here? Because it's all over the place. All right, I'll take my walk. And then eventually, you get in a situation where you're looking for maybe something more than a walk, and the result doesn't go your way. So, I've always kind of believed that is a thing, although I can't ever seem to get anybody to say that it is.
Effectively wild is awful. I had a bit years ago, Jesse, and I got roasted for it, but it was a bit. It was a joke. I said that's why adult league is harder than the major leagues. Yeah, their stuff is better in the big leagues, but nobody knows where the plate is. So you go up there and you
it's
make...
like the first year in Little League that I moved from coach pitch, when I hit probably like 600, to kid pitch, where I was hit by a pitch every other time up. There was nothing more frustrating in my playing career. So maybe that's the reason I believe this is a thing, because I'm flashing back to being 8 years old. But
it's funny, man.
That's a funny bit, by the way.
It is a funny bit, yeah. And I made the case of why. Well, first of all, you guys play on much nicer fields, okay? You get everybody, you get massages pregame, you hit white ball, you actually get batting practice, and every pitcher, sure, they throw hard, sure, they have exploding sliders, but at least they're around the plate. It was a bit, but the effectively wild guys that you see, you're like, oh God, this is a nightmare. Guy that throws, in our league, 85 is tough. It's tough, but it's like, I'd rather face that guy.
That's very funny.
Something that you hear a lot from Little League all the way probably to adult league baseball is the axiom, hey, when a pitcher is wild, you got to take a pitch or two. And while I do think that applies, and I've gotten some pushback this morning from some tier ones who disagree, I don't think it really applies in Major League Baseball. Even after the walks had loaded the bases, when Manny Machado is coming up to the plate, I'm expecting him to hunt first pitch. What do you think kind of is is your thought process there as Manny stepping to the plate, Jesse?
You guys were just talking about the Arise walk-off. That was the first pitch, right? What was Michael Bush's walk-off at Wrigley last week, first pitch? I mean, I can go on. You know, I mean, like, yeah, sometimes you know coming in, like, all right, I'm probably going to get, the first pitch I got here. And especially, I would say, when a guy is wild, all right, I'm locking in on this first pitch. And if it's close, I'm going, because it might be the only one, that I really have a sense of where it is. I don't have a problem with it. Obviously, the result was miserable with the way that the game ended. But from like a philosophical standpoint, I don't think there's any issue with that. You've got a guy, as you said, on the ropes. He's trying to get ahead. He's trying to throw a strike, because if he puts himself 2-0, he's going to start spinning out there. And you're Manny Machado. You're one of the most talented hitters that's ever walked on planet Earth. So I have no issue at all with that. Obviously, it did not go well. Couldn't have been any easier for the Rockies infield, the way that one worked out. But, yeah, I mean, all those opportunities last night, it was weird. It was different, and certainly at the end of the day, very frustrating.
It was, man, and you could point to a bunch of different moments in that game. And baseball's a weird sport. You can feel like sometimes, man, we lost that game in the third inning or whatever. Not last night, but maybe in the seventh and maybe in the eighth, and definitely lost it in the ninth because you ran out of chances. But baseball is that weird. When that pop fly dropped between Tatis and Merrill, I went, man, now that's one. That's one you gotta make a play for your pitcher. You got to make a play for your team. Cannot give up runs in that instance, because that's not a team that scores a ton of runs. Giving them free runs is brutal in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, that ended up being the difference in the game, right? I mean, that was the final run that the Rockies got. That was frustrating. There was a lot that was frustrating, but for me, particularly last night, you can, in a way, ignore everything that happened in the first 6 innings. Because the Padres had every opportunity they could ever ask for, 7, 8, 9. And so, like, put Randy Vasquez aside, put some of the defensive issues aside, whatever. You had your shot. You survived all of that in a way, right? Because you were in a position, late in the game to do something. Now, your point is certainly valid. You can look back at those things and be like, well, if that didn't happen, they would have been in a different spot later in the game. But, they had their shots. They had their shots, and last night it just didn't happen. And as I said at the beginning, I mean, as long as this doesn't turn into something from last year, and I don't expect it to, where they can never get a hit with runner in scoring position, then you know what? You chalk it up to, as you said, the weirdness of baseball, what I always refer to as the beautiful stupidity of baseball. And last night had a lot of stupidity. There's no doubt. It was from the start a weird game. I turned to Tony and, like, I don't know, after the second inning, and I was like, I'm so off kilter right now. It's like something about the pace and the timing. It just felt weird, and then weird things just kind of continued to happen the entire rest of the night.
Talking to Jesse Agler, and we mentioned it earlier, but pointing out that Jackson Merrill could have maybe gotten that one also ignores the fact that might have been Jackson Merrill's best game
so good
as a pro. He was all over the outfield making catches, had the great double play, hit the ball hard, including like a home run that I didn't even know he had that kind of swing in him.
That was Harper-esque right there, man. It really was. From the left side, the bat flip and everything was pretty legit.
That was something to watch last night, Jesse.
He is very real deal. I mean, look, we've all been watching these games and hopefully listening to them here on 97.3 The Fan. But Jackson Merrill, he's the real deal. And the biggest compliment I can give him is that you can just tell he's never been trying to do too much at any point. He is staying within himself in such a sincere way, which is what we always ask of guys, when they're first coming up, particularly at a young age. Hey, don't press, don't try too hard, but that goes against human nature. And he is just sort of almost like a robot with emotion, if you will. He's a robot while he's approaching things, but then when something happens, he turns into an emotional human being. You saw that last night. He was all fired up and red-faced running around the bases.
Oh, yeah.
And, that continued into the dugout afterwards. Like, that was a really, really big moment for him and for the team in yesterday's game. But it's like he's able to, like, control it all and bottle it all until it doesn't need to be bottled anymore. And that is a remarkable thing for a 21-year-old who's 40-whatever games into his major league career to try and pull off. There's a reason the Padre people have obsessively talked about his makeup the last couple of years and the kind of guy and the kind of player and the kind of competitor he is. I just couldn't be any more impressed with him. He's hitting 290s, like the second leading hitter on the team, 291, excuse me. I don't want to shortchange him. And he's been such a really nice presence at the bottom of the order. I could go on and on and on about what we're seeing out of Jackson Merrill. Look, there's still rookie stuff that's going on. I'm sure there will be slumps, to come and everything like that. But right now, you could not ask any more out of this guy than what you've gotten.
Yeah, and there's plenty of unsung heroes on this team, and some sung heroes as well. Jerkson Profar, what a tank that was last night as well. And it one of those great ABs off Dakota Hudson, which we really didn't see early in the game, Jesse. I looked up, and I think we were in like the sixth, and he had like 65, 70 pitches. And it's hard because, the Padres have been more aggressive this year based on just out of the chute from opening day. And they have had a lot more productive outs and things like that. Man, when they don't execute and Dakota Hudson is shoving it on you, those are the games that's tough to stomach sometimes.
Yeah, it was a little bit weird last night, and I haven't read all the Colorado papers and websites yet. I will later on this morning. But, one of the things that we picked up on probably in like the fourth or fifth inning last night was that Hudson was pitching totally differently yesterday than he had been. He was featuring his curveball in a way that he never does. And obviously the guy has been having like just a tremendous amount of trouble. So obviously it makes some sense, that he might try something different. But, we saw this guy a couple of weeks ago. Here, I got the numbers. I'm pulling them up off my paper here. He was not doing what he normally does. The curveball coming into last night was his least used pitch. In his most recent start before yesterday, he threw it 14% of the time. Against the Padres a couple weeks ago, he threw it 11% of the time. Last night, he threw it almost 30% of the time.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, the early attack was probably based upon the idea that you were going to see more sinkers and sliders, which ended up not being the case. And so to his credit, he was landing the curveball. It was working. He could throw it for strikes. And throwing strikes had been his issue all season long. You remember all the walks he issued against the Padres at Coors in that awful day game. So, I'm not doing the tip your cap thing, but he pitched differently and better than he pitched at any other point this season. And that probably, at least for a couple of innings, kept the Padres off balance.
That's so fascinating to me, the chess match that is baseball. And Mike Schilt, probably them telling their team, too, before, hey, listen, what he's been doing hasn't been working, but you have to kind of stick with what's on paper. This is how he's been trying to get guys out, and for him to completely change it like that, it may explain away some of the early inning failures.
I think you have to be fair because the Dodgers can say, well, we homered a bunch off Michael King the first time we faced him. Why are we so bad this time? It doesn't account for the fact that Michael King was much better last Friday. And before we get to the Incorporate, I just wanted to get back to that weekend against the Dodgers since we didn't talk to you specifically that Friday night game. I was there, Jesse. Had you seen a better, like a game where two pitchers on both sides were as locked in as that night? I mean, that was pretty incredible.
It's, that's one of the things that makes it feel like playoff baseball. We had that, that walk-off game at Wrigley too. Very similar kind of feel. I mean, look, not to sound like an old person or whatever, but like that's baseball at its best to me. Is two starting pitchers who are dominating and working deep into the game, because that means that one run or those two runs you might be able to scratch out, or that one big swing you have that turns into a home run, that is the difference in the game. And look, between the crowd, the size of the crowd, the volume of the crowd, the pitching that we got, the sort of dramatics of it all, to me, that's what makes a regular season game feel like a playoff game. And, we drop that, right? A handful of times every year. Hey, playoff atmosphere here tonight. But it kind of goes to another level when you get something like that. And the one game at Wrigley really felt that way. The middle game, a couple of the Dodger games felt that way. But like for me as a fan, there is nothing better than watching two starting pitchers at the absolute top of their game, just mowing guys down. Obviously, Tony sometimes disagrees with that as he was a hitter and he doesn't like, to talk about how only the pitcher is dominating. But I mean, it was great baseball, entertaining baseball with the buzz, the whole thing. I mean, the Padres, just to step back, from the Dodgers series, I think have been a much more watchable team this year than they were the last couple of years. And those early swings that you were bemoaning, that's a big part of it. I'm old enough to remember people getting upset about Trent Grisham taking fastballs down the middle. So, I've enjoyed watching them this year. They've played a very entertaining brand of baseball. Have there been frustrating moments? Of course, but every team has frustrating moments over the course of 162. And yeah, man, we've been treated to some really, really great baseball as of late.
By the way, those good fast pitch games sometimes make it hard to get an incorporator word in during the 9 innings. Last week
you have to do it in the post game.
all the way to the post
That was
game.
the game. That's right.
Segment.
That was the game.
That was the game
yeah.
last week.
For
And,
Hector Neris. Can I publicly apologize to Hector Neris? I apologize.
For calling him,
what was the word?
Zaftig?
Zaftig.
Hector Neris. Yeah, well, you had to get it in somehow, and now you got a new word that Woods is going to give you that you've got to get in for tonight's game for the incorporator.
Yeah, Tier 1 Derek sent this in to my DM, and
I almost didn't believe this.
He
one,
didn't believe
Jesse.
it was a word. I started laughing hysterically. Go ahead, Paulie.
Sprained.
Sprained. Now, you might think, oh,
Like
Manny.
he sprained his ankle?
That's what I was going to say. Manny Machado sprained his elbow.
He done
No.
sprained his ankle.
I mean, good luck. Here, the definition is it's a piece of otter's dung.
What?
Otter's dung.
Why? What's so
Why is
special
there a
about the
word for
otter's
that?
excrement that it gets its own word?
I
Yeah.
don't
That doesn't
know.
make any sense to me.
Is there another word for like seal dung or dog dung? Isn't it all just dung?
Sprained.
First of all, can somebody from the San Diego Zoo call in and help
Yes.
us understand it?
Set us
Confirm
straight.
this one for sure.
Second of all, do otters? Not that I necessarily expect you guys to know this, but do otters build dams the way beavers do? And so perhaps does their dung
they use
get a
it as
special
like
word
a-
because they use it to
good
build their
thinking.
structure?
Yeah.
Wait, do beavers use their poop to build dams? I didn't know that.
Didn't know that either.
I don't know.
This
I
is what
have
this
no
is.
idea.
The incorporator's a learning segment as well as a challenge.
Yeah,
that's
for
true.
Jesse Agler. Well, Jesse, good luck.
Spraint.
We're out of time. Good luck on Spraint, and we will talk to you next Tuesday.
What a word.
See you later.
Thank you, buddy.
Jesse Agler. Spraint.
Oh, that's great. Spraint.
All right, we will come back. Paulie's got some headlines with the Reindl Report.
So you're
One
allowed to have
more
fun,
hour to
guys.
go.
Everyone's allowed to have fun today.
Fun is back on
Fun
the
is
menu.
back on the menu today.
With Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Thanks again to Jesse Agler, who now has to work the word
spraint
into tonight's broadcast.
I sprained it. How's your knee? I sprained it.
Dylan Cease. Making the Rockies offense look like spraint tonight.
Yes,
At least that's what we hope. That's why you have a Dylan Cease in your rotation. Yeah, you can every team is going to lose tough games. But when you have a guy who comes in and really gives the team no hope in the next game, that's what you're looking for. And by the way, the Rockies have won 5 in a row.
Terrible.
Not
terrible.
Not just at the Padres' expense. They were fresh off sweeping the Texas Rangers.
Bruce
1-1
Bochy,
before
the
that.
manager of the Texas Rangers.
They have a longer winning streak than any of the Padres own this season.
Correct. 5 games. What's our
4.
most? 4. Man. Another box I would like to check at some point.
They checked 4. Now you want to check 5?
I'd like to check 14,
That
17.
would be nice. That would be really nice. But, the Rockies, who hadn't won back-to-back games before at any point this season, before their 5-game winning streak, had not won a single series until they swept the Rangers, now have 2 chances to take a series from the San Diego Padres. They do that, we're very disappointed. The Padres come back and win the next 2, win a 5th series in a row. I think you have to minimize your disappointment at losing 1 game. So they got Dylan Cease and Michael King.
Let's get it, man.
On the mound, both coming off phenomenal starts their last time out. Can they back it up with another start today? Well, for Dylan Cease, it'll be a few starts in a row that have been excellent. For Michael King, looking for 2 in a row. That's the rest of the series. Tonight, tomorrow afternoon.
What is tonight?
Tonight and tomorrow afternoon. I was going to say today.
Today,
and I switched it to tonight.
It works. Instead of evening, you can say tonight.
Tonight.
It's a beautiful
right
today,
between
mate.
today and tonight.
Beautiful tonight.
And then the Padres have to go to Atlanta for a 4-game series against the Braves.
Woo!
Friday to Monday. By the way, we're very excited about next week on the Ben and Woods program.
Next week's a big one for us.
You know when remember in school when you had the teacher-parent conferences and you had minimum day weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of feels like next week is the Ben and Woods minimum day week.
It is like that year at the end of school when you walk into your classroom and the giant TV is on that giant steel roller.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, what are we watching today? Old
Subs
Yeller?
in, we're watching a movie.
The best.
Is the Monday game against the Braves, the series finale, is like a 9-10 start or something really early with like an 8-10 Sammy pregame show. So we got a half day on Monday.
I may get hammered on Sunday night. We have such a short show.
We then have
9:20 first pitch, 8:20
pregame
We're
show.
off at like 8:15.
So
Come on.
half show, and then Thursday is also an early start on the road
10:10
in Cincinnati.
9:10 pregame.
So that's a 3/4
9:05
show that day as well. So we'll have 2 short days on the Ben and Woods program. Not to mention the 4-day weekend we're taking next weekend as well.
We're also off on Friday next week.
We clearly need it this morning as Ben is getting mad at the chat. I'm having anxiety attacks on the air. It's clearly time for a breather. I'm going to go to the desert, actually, and go to Joshua Treacy, our buddy Jack, and lose myself and find myself. Isn't that weird how you do that? At the same time.
Speaking of a little breather, that's what Ben and Woods consider the Reindl Report to be a little breather for us while Paulie takes over for the next few minutes.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Good morning, my friends.
Please bring something funny, Paul.
I will. It's the Reindl Report brought to you by the Frozen Ropes Summer Baseball League. The Frozen Ropes is now registering ball players age 6 through 12. Go to SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com for more information.
Zach wants to know is there Reindl Report merch? No, but there should be. Absolutely a Reindl Report shirt. Can you punch that up?
I could. I made one. My wife wanted one.
Your wife has one. She has one of one.
One of one. Yeah.
They do that
It's
now.
going to diminish the value of it, though,
I
now
know.
if you create more.
But I like the idea of a Reindl Report.
It's like a rare
shirt.
baseball card right now.
I also, not to be an egomaniac, if you beat me and take on Woods, I think you should have a shirt that says "I took on Woods."
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I took on Woods and lost, and all I got was this stupid T-shirt.
I took on Woods and won, and all I got was a stupid T-shirt.
Anybody that's ever called in, yeah, we could do
Romy back in the day used to give away the cotton when you'd win a prize. You win a T-shirt. He called it
T-shirt, the cotton. I like it. All right, get those up in the store, Paulie.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, we need the budget, so.
Let's start off college hoops, NIL. This was a big story from a couple of days ago. That I think it came officially yesterday. We did not get to it. Great Osibor from Utah State. He was a thorn in the Aztec side all year. Pretty much everybody in the Mountain West all season long. He was a very good player, and he entered the transfer portal, and he is committed to the University of Washington. He's going to be a Husky, Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, leaving for, where are they, the Big 12 now?
Are they the
Big 10?
Big 10.
Big 10, yeah.
He's going to be in the Big 10 with Washington, and right now it's saying that he has taken a $2 million NIL deal, which is the highest known NIL deal that has at least been publicly announced.
Maybe there's been bigger ones that we don't know about, but this is the biggest one on record.
That is a lot of scratch.
It is.
No kidding.
For one season, for a really great player and trying to make a splash. Now, he's very loyal to this coach because Danny Sprinkle, he was at Montana State, and he followed Danny Sprinkle, the coach from Montana State, to Utah State.
And now
he's following him from Utah State to Washington, plus the benefit of, $2 million as well.
That's a lot of cash. Good for him, man. That's a lot of dough for a young man.
I have I like NIL, but I don't like NIL. Is that weird?
You're doing the thing that you feel.
I want players to be able to take advantage of their name, image, and likeness. That's what NIL stands for. Name, image, and likeness. Players should be able to take advantage of it. I hate that schools now seem like they have to set up these deals in advance to get them to transfer. I was all in favor of that. You go to a college, you're a star player, you should be able to make a lot of money on do endorsements and ads and everything.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it should be treated like free agency where the schools now have to set up competing offers against each other to try to entice players to leave one school to go to another school. That's not what it was supposed to be, was it? It was supposed to be, don't stop these guys from making money while they're in college when, video games and local car dealerships and all, they'll pay them some money to do some real NIL work. Now it's simply like collectives and how much can we offer a player to transfer.
It's free agency, essentially.
With unlimited transfers and...
Well, I heard Braden say this yesterday, and this makes sense when he said... Imagine Fernando Tatis Jr. just saying, all right, I'm going to the Yankees because they're going to pay me more than you guys are. No contracts anymore. And I think, this is a bit of, I don't want to say a loophole because this is how it was created, but this is a feature of NIL is now you are essentially a mercenary. And if you have a really good season at a middling school, Utah State had a good program and a good year. Mm-hmm. That being said, if you have the opportunity to go somewhere else and make more money, we can all do that in our jobs. People can do that in their jobs. Athletes are always different because there's some sort of contract involved. I don't know how you fix it. It's not going to make me root for my favorite team less, though. You know what I mean? I hate to lose great players, just like I do in free agency or trades or whatever.
Aztecs have lost a few.
They've gained a few, So I it's still going to make me root for my favorite teams. Yeah. It's just going to make me lament it a little bit more, but I'm still going to be there, I mean, the Irish have lost players to schools for years, and they've gotten good players. So they're going to give me my 9-10 wins, and I'm going to be out. I'm going to be happy, but I can understand why it's a bit confusing for people.
Well, Washington has literally acquired a great basketball player.
This is maybe your worst one.
I'm reading that.
Yeah, his name is great.
Yes. I'm reading here on ESPN. He came over here from England, and he says, I was not a highly recruited player coming out of England with only a few Division I offers. He went to Montana State, then Utah State, now Washington. But when you read from ESPN here, and it says Osibor, whose father is a taxi driver and mother is a caregiver for elderly clients, will have the opportunity to make life-altering money in his final year of college eligibility, despite arriving in the United States with very little fanfare and spending his first 2 seasons coming off the bench in the Big Sky Conference. That guy's getting paid for turning his college career around and shining in his last year this past season. Fine by me, man. Fine by me.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks if you're a Utah State fan, but like other than that, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's they will do something to, I believe, tamp this down because, well, that's what the NCAA does.
Yeah, as part
best.
of the settlement in the antitrust case, where there's going to be some revenue sharing, which is good also for athletes, but there has to be some sort of guardrails on NIL. And Adam in the chat points out there are NIL regulations. There are, but they're so easy to essentially work around that it's just turned into basically free agency now in college sports.
All right, we'll move on. We'll keep it in hoops here. We have talked about it quite a bit over the last few months. Women's basketball was Caitlin Clark, and the college game and the WNBA. They've been making a lot of strides. We talked about them chartering flights for all of their teams. Saw a fun video of one of the teams. I think it was Indiana Fever.
It was Caitlin's team.
You know, these girls are like, wait, we don't have to fly Delta anymore.
Yeah.
You know, Gate C, we can fly charter now, and they were hyped. But the WNBA announced this morning that they have announced their newest team, the 13th team in the league. It's going to be the Golden State Valkyries. They will start play next season, and they're going to play at the Chase Center where the Warriors play. So the league has had some success here in recent years, and they're going to capitalize on that popularity. They are expanding now to 13 teams.
I had not seen that. Yeah, I mean the
Valkyries is
NWSL has expanded to 14. So women's sports are in a period of extreme growth right now. Popularity. You had the women's NCAA final outdraw on television. The men's final this year. This is pretty much the pinnacle so far of women's sports right now. They're doing great. They're killing it.
And finally, reading from Fortune.com here. Now, the three of us, we are all married men. Do you guys ever sit back?
Fantasize? Oh, no.
No.
Oh.
What?
I thought you were going somewhere else.
No. Of course not. Do you ever sit back and look around, and maybe you're on social media?
I immediately laughs at my own jokes here. Okay, go ahead. Sorry,
sitting around and looking at how the world is these days, and go, thank God I don't have to deal with the dating apps these days.
Yeah.
Like, are you glad you don't have to go back out and date?
I never did. I never had to deal with the dating apps because I never used them. I did it the old-fashioned way. I earned it.
All right, E.F. Hutton.
E.F. Hutton. E.F. Woods. Never once.
Have you ever thought about what your life would look like if you had to go back into the dating world?
Horrible. It would be
horrible.
terrible. I would be awful at it.
Well, one of those apps, Bumble. Now, Bumble, if I remember correctly, it's been several years. That's the one where the women get to make the first move. You can both
like
each other, but the woman has to reach out first, I believe.
Okay.
So Bumble is, like most dating apps these days, is incorporating, you guessed it, AI into their app, and they're coming out with a dating concierge, an AI concierge that will basically filter through all of your potential matches and get through all of the small talk, and you can check in with your dating concierge. They will tell you, hey, we've done all of the work. This is definitely somebody you should probably go grab coffee with.
You've already made a nice connection with this person with your likes and dislikes and interests while you weren't even paying attention. So now you're moving right on to the next stage.
What is that? Take your clothes off? I mean, like, the small talk is where your money, that's how you make your money right there. Like,
that's being replaced, Woods. Your E.F. Hutton earning it, you can do it with AI now.
I don't want it. I don't feel like I earned it.
Skip everything.
Might as well just go see a professional then and plunk down $200 or however much it costs and go to town.
Like New York Post says, Bumble wants their AI dating concierge to do the dating for you.
I feel like you'd figure out you were talking to an AI and not a real person. Don't Can't you tell?
It's
usually?
not. That's not it though. The concierge is just knocking out some of the crap, small talk, and then
Like the example
giving
they
you the
used
profile.
here is, let's say in San Francisco, and you have 600 potential matches. You don't have to talk to all 600 people.
Right.
They're gonna scan all of those potential matches that already have something that, the traits that you're looking for. They're gonna just sift through it all, and they'll give you like 2 or 3 people to go ahead and try to meet.
It's like an
It's
AI
like a
matchmaker.
Yeah, which is fine. But
Which there are, services that still do that, matchmaking services, where they try to pair 2 people that they think will hit it off well.
I have said
I don't know
this.
how much success they actually have in those things.
I
but-
have said this before. When I was in college, I would get the Chicago Sun-Times, and it was like a
personals.
Well, no, I would
Go to
get
the-
the Chicago Sun-Times, and I would read it on the train because it's as far as the newspaper goes, it's shaped like a book, so it's great. So you didn't have to hold the giant thing out. So I'd read the Sun-Times, and I'd flip through it on my way to work or whatever, and I would get to the personals ad, and I would go, and I would laugh, and I would think, wow, this is creepy. These are creeps. And that, like, if I had one buddy that was like, hey, man, I can't meet anybody. I'm thinking about putting in a personal ad. I was like, it would have floored me. I would have said, you're a deviant and you're a murderer, probably. It's so accepted now. We're talking, this is only, 25 years ago, whatever. Now it's so accepted. And I think that's great. I think, however, you can meet the love
Did
of your
you
life
imagine
is
putting an
fantastic.
ad into a paper
And waiting
to try to
go
meet
in
someone
to
with a
check
phone
your
number?
mailbox?
If you like pina coladas,
Getting
and
caught in the rain?
caught in the rain.
Yeah.
If you're not into yoga and you have half a brain,
and you meet,
that's what that song is about. It's
Yeah.
about a personal ad in a paper.
And he meets his person.
He already meets his lady.
Said the
She was
worst
taking
song.
one out too. They were both. They just move on like it's nothing at the end.
Yeah, no big deal.
Oh, it's you. You were trying to cheat on me.
Oh, you were trying to cheat on me.
too.
I
Funny.
remember
How sweet.
figuring out what that song really was about,
It's
because
like
you heard it.
the light bulb
I
goes
was
on.
younger than you guys. Like, I heard the whole, my whole life. If you like pina colada, and then to have somebody tell me, like, you know what that song's really about. You're like, wait. You go back and listen. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I've heard massive success stories on the dating apps. I've also heard some massive horror stories too. It's like anything now.
So I wrote to the paper, took out a personal
All right,
ad,
we
and
get
though I'm
it.
nobody's poet, I thought it wasn't half bad.
I know.
Yeah, that's what that song is about.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Good job as always. All right, we'll come back. Look ahead. We got 2 more games of this Rocky series. Now I'm starting to dread them. Only bad things can happen from this point out, it feels
Oh,
like.
that Charlie Blackmon home run's coming, right?
I hope not. I really do hope not. It's coming up next after traffic here with Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
of his favorite song.
It's a favorite song, but you just
so
What's
tired
the first
of
words of this? I was tired
I was
of
tired
my
of my
lady.
lady. We've been together too long. Like a worn-out recording.
Guess what, dude? She was feeling the same way about you.
Yeah. Hey, babe, you remind me of a worn-out recording. See how that goes.
Oh, boy.
Do you like pina coladas? Because I do. I will drink one.
Not bad. I prefer a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
For my tropical drink. It's a little heavier on the alcohol, actually,
It
than Mai
is.
Tai.
Yeah, it is. I do like a good pina colada. Pina colada. I'm going to Hawaii in August. I'm going to suck down several dozen pina coladas. You get the worst hangover, though, because the rum and then the sugar. And you wake up and you're like, phew. Feel like a worn-out recording.
Have you ever done the pina colada, but they add the strawberry puree on the sides, and they call that a lava flow?
I like that.
I
like that a lot.
That's a tropical drink right there for you.
I want to be in the tropics right now, frankly.
You're
Soon.
going to the tropics later this year, aren't you?
Yeah, I just said I was going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I just
looking forward to that.
You're looking forward to me going to Hawaii.
No, you're looking forward to that.
I thought you said I'm looking forward.
I'm not looking
Should
forward
have a
to
pina
leaving.
colada when you go to Hawaii
You
later this
should.
summer.
You guys know I'm going to Hawaii in August. Can't wait.
I can't wait for you to go to
I
Hawaii.
can't wait. We also can't wait until you go. Yeah, I can't wait.
See the report last night that it's going to happen, that TNT is losing the NBA media rights to NBC. Hasn't been officially stated yet, but
My eyes just glazed over because you brought up the NBA media rights.
well, just if it happens, that means it's done. The Charles Barkley, Shaq,
That was a
the NBA
funny ass show.
Because Ernie said he's not going anywhere. So even if NBC wants to hire some of those guys away, it'll
What's
never
he
be
gonna
the same
do?
again.
MLB playoff studio shows?
I have a question.
I mean, he does those already. He
Right,
does a
but
lot
what's
of
he
things
gonna do
for
without the
them.
NBA?
I don't know. I'll miss him.
If he's under contract, you'd be like, guys, let me go.
I have a question for Paul, and maybe you, because I did see this in the same vein yesterday. So there were some Sunday games on Peacock, right? Baseball games and Major League Baseball. And now they're moving to Roku.
Ah, yes.
So
Oh, boy. Don't even worry about it. Just don't plan on watching them.
what is a Roku?
I
Is it
have a Roku.
Yeah, okay, is it like a Fire Stick?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I got to go buy another MFing.
It's like $20. It's fine.
Do you know how many things that I subscribe to that are like $20? It's fine.
The Roku
All of them.
holds all of them.
Yeah, you load every app on
It's
there.
an
Like,
interface.
it's actually cool because now that you have like ESPN Plus and some of the other things, like
Yes.
if you ever want to watch something that's on ESPN Plus
You have
on
to
your
log
TV,
in.
you don't. On the Roku, it's already logged in. So you just go
You have to do it all the apps, you'll have to log in the
one
first
time.
Right.
But then once it's there, all you have to do is click on ESPN and then you just click on the game you want. It's pretty much like watching it on television now. It turns the streaming experience into as close to your traditional cable experience as anything that I've had.
Yeah, it's
before.
not like a subscription service. It's a one-time purchase for the device.
Okay, so I have to buy a Roku. Well, I have to buy 1, 2, 3 Rokus.
You don't have to have one for every television in the house, but you could.
You should, right?
That's what we have. We have
One for each?
3, I think. Yeah.
Because one, you can't.
We just have the one for the main TV.
Well, I don't. I watch TV in my bed. I watch TV
Okay.
in my office. I watch TV on the couch. So I need to get Roku. I need to get 3 Roku now.
And you can add Netflix and Max and Hulu and Disney Plus.
But I already have those.
Yeah, but you're not paying extra for them.
You
You're just
add them-
logging into your account.
You add the
And then-
apps to
Is
the
it,
Roku.
is it ease of use? Is
It
that
is
what we're
very
talking about?
once the pain of just setting it up the first time is over. It is actually very.
Is it easier than by because
They have the Roku
voice.
has the
Right.
voice activated too.
Is it
though.
easier than me saying open Netflix? Which is
yeah,
what I
because
do
there's
now.
like a Netflix button on the remote. You just hit
You don't even
Netflix.
have to say anything. You just hit Netflix and it pops
Look,
up.
I'm
on there.
48 years old. How are old people going to do this? Or do they have a better grasp of technology?
Have your
than
kids,
I do?
your
I don't think
grandkids
MLB's
set it up the first time, and after that, it's pretty easy.
MLB's not doing this for them. Doing it for the younger.
They're
cord-cutting
worried
generation.
they're worried about the people who have already cut the cord or never even had a cord to begin with. And how are they going to watch baseball games when they don't have cable and they don't have satellite and they're not making it available other than one Apple Plus game a week? They want baseball games to be viewed by people who are younger than 48 years old. So they're thinking, all right, most of these younger kids have a Roku in their house. Let's get a deal with Roku. So it's pretty easy for them to pop up a baseball game, and they like what they see. Maybe they'll sign up for the MLB TV app or something as well. You do. They're not talking to you. Talking to younger people.
How do I watch it? So if I want to watch Sunday games, even though I have the MLB app, I still have to get a Roku?
I don't
Is that
know
what you're
about
saying?
that.
I don't know all
if
the
they're
details.
just picking up one of the games that's already going to be broadcast and they're putting it on Roku, or if it's like
If
an
it's going to be the
exclusive, like
exclusive,
Peacock
that's
type
what
thing.
they're
Yeah.
replacing the Peacock game. Then you would have had to go get Peacock, so now you'll have to have a Roku.
Better than Peacock, I think. I'd rather have it on Roku than Peacock.
It's very
Roku
cool.
serves more purposes.
Yeah.
If you have MLB app, you can have that on your Roku device.
You can.
Okay.
Like it's like your phone. You see how you have all the apps. Like
Yeah.
that's what the Roku, the home screen is just all of the different.
So I've done
streaming
this.
apps.
So MLB app on the Roku. You go to it. They've got the condensed games. Like if you happen to miss a Padres game or you want to watch a different game, hit the condensed game. You watch the whole thing in 10 minutes. They just boil it down. Pitch, 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 pitch. Big play, big play, big play. Watch an entire game in 10 minutes. 3 clicks. I was already to the game. It's pretty easy. It's pretty. It's the modern technology at its best.
The incredible boomer lives this morning. I've heard about Roku for years. People like it.
You can even watch me on channel 10 via your Roku.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we've got Roku streaming over-the-top service, they call it, the little devices. So you can even watch me on your Roku.
My wife is in the chat. She just spent a full hour in the 97.3 chat, which is always a mistake. Babe, would you go out and pick up 3 Rokus and get those set up today so that I can watch Sunday baseball at some point? Because I'm sure the Padres will be on it, right? At some point?
I'm sure they will.
All right. I asked and answered, I guess. I don't feel any more confident than I did, except for the fact that I need to go buy 3 more Rokus.
Like $20.
Okay, $60.
All right, that's your media chat for this morning.
Okay.
We'll take our final timeout, come back, take a look at tonight's game, pitching matchup, and more. It is Joe Musgrove, Theo Musgrove bobblehead night tonight at Petco Park as well. So you know it's going to be a big crowd. That is coming up next with Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan. A couple of other Padres notes haven't gotten to yet. I did see that Joe Musgrove throw a bullpen session yesterday. We'll see how he feels today, but whether or not that's going to be the minimum stay on the injured list and he comes back later this week, or if he's going to need a minor league rehab start or anything like that, they'll probably have a little more clarity on the subject, depending on how Joe recovers from the throwing session. But, I mean, the fact that he's throwing is a positive sign moving back toward a return. I think we were all pretty nervous when you heard triceps tendonitis and elbow inflammation a couple of weeks ago, and you're going, yeah, right, 15 days, good luck. Well, it's been about, 10, 11 days, and he's back on a mound throwing. So positive sign on his bobblehead night tonight at Petco Park. And I also thought the note yesterday was in the UT about Jurickson Profar's switch hitting. Never really thought about the origin of his switch hitting, and Jeff Sanders had kind of an interesting note about it. So when Jurickson, if you missed it, when Jurickson was growing up in Curacao, isn't that where he's from? Yeah. Curacao. He was so good that just to make it fair, the other kids would make him switch around from his natural right-handed side to the left-handed side, just to even things out a little bit.
That's ridiculous.
That's badass.
That's so cool.
So that gave him some experience hitting, but he's a natural right-handed hitter, and he said, and I was always better right-handed. Lefty was just not natural for me. But, major league teams that were interested loved the thought of him as a switch hitter. So he always had to put so much work into his left-handed swing because it wasn't natural to him. And eventually he practiced so little the right-handed swing that he started losing some of that, and he became a better left-handed hitter against righties than righty against lefties. And now he says, now I'm just practicing them equally. You know what? I stopped worrying about it. I'm going to give equal time. But he said, I am jealous of players like Tatis and Machado who only have one swing to worry about. Because I've got two different swings.
He said he was talking to his kids, and he's like, you're swinging one way. And you're whatever way that is, get it. Dig into that.
It's not like, oh, he's got to practice 30% more because he's a switch hitter. He says, no, I got to really have to practice twice as much. I have two totally separate swings. If I want to maintain my right-handed swing, I have to put as much right-handed work in as Manny or Tatis. But then I also have to do the exact same thing on the left-handed side as if I'm Jake Cronenworth or Jackson Merrill. I can't just simply practice half and half. Then I'm just half practicing both of my swings. So
awesome.
He's like, I have to put in so much work as a switch hitter compared to normal players.
Yeah, they get their rounds. Yeah. It's like, see you later, dog. And he's out there working on the other side. Forget it. Seems like a lot of work.
But it's working for him, obviously, this season as well as it has at any point in his career. And it's not a bad career. Jurickson Profar has 10 years as a big leaguer. Has he ever been a superstar? No. But to have the production, the longevity that Jurickson has had, I am really happy for him to get a moment in the sun, in the spotlight this year, to really shine and be the best version of the player that he's really ever been. I think, what's his career at? 20 home runs, did that with the A's a few years ago. He's had some decent years with the Rangers. Padres stuff has been really good when he's been in San Diego, but nothing like this with a 320 average and hitting for power from both sides of the plate. He's pretty much even on both sides of the plate power-wise this year. Most switch hitters either have a power side and kind of a single side. Jurickson's kind of doing it on both sides in many different ways this year. It's really impressive to see.
Yeah, that's cool, man. He's been a godsend for this team, no doubt. I shudder to think about where we would be without his start, Jake's start, Dylan Cease in the rotation. I mean, it's a perilous nightmare to think about.
But by the way, Jurickson, Jake, none of them had hits last night. None of them.
Jurickson had a hit. Hit a home run.
Oh, anyway, so you're right.
Pretty big hit.
He did have the one big hit. That's right.
The top four.
He wasn't. It was the top four, not the top five.
Yeah,
the top four had no hits in the lineup yesterday. And by the way, no hits with runners in scoring position for 3 straight games for the Padres.
And they
as well. 0 for 6 all 3 games.
It's been the long ball. Which are they getting away from what had been successful for them? When they beat up on the Cubs, when they beat the Cubs.
You're hitting too many home runs.
You're hitting too many home runs, guys. Get back to slapping singles around the yard.
I doubt that's the problem.
I doubt it is, too.
But it is different than what we saw a little bit earlier in the season.
Yep.
They have been more reliant on the long ball the last couple of games, and they have dropped 2 of their last 3, just to be technical about it. All right, let's check traffic one last time, and we'll talk about tonight's pitching matchup before we go. Coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Wrapping things up with a problem on southbound 15 near Poway Road. An accident blocking lanes got you backed up all the way out of Rancho Bernardo. Crash clearing on northbound 805 near the 8. That's over to the right shoulder. Viejas Casino and Resort is home to the best players club in My Viejas. Start earning points toward incredible rewards like free gifts, concert tickets, hotel stays, dining discounts, and more. It's time to ditch the other guys and join the best. The My Viejas Players Club, Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I just can't get my head out of the chat this morning. I just can't. Ben commented, different Ben. He says, this team is not worth believing in.
All right.
What does that mean exactly?
I don't know. He'll be here tomorrow. He's going to watch.
Do I believe that they're the favorites to win the World Series? I do not. Do I believe that they are kind of what I thought they would be when we started the season? Hopefully a team that can play at or a little above 500 and maybe make the playoffs at the end of the year? Yes, and nothing that they've done so far has done anything but strengthen my belief in what I thought the team was at the beginning of the year. A team that could probably play a few games above 500 and has enough talent that if they get hot in October, maybe they make some sort of run. They're not favorites. They've got flaws and holes, and we've seen those. They also have some strengths and talent, and we've seen that. I don't know that I believe in them any less or more than I did at the start of the season.
Look, man, it's like I tell parents. Baseball's not for everyone. It's not. It's not. And it's taken me a long time to be able to ride the wave a little bit better. Also therapy, intensive therapy, expensive intensive therapy. It's not for everyone. It's not.
Ben says, I know we may have fun. I know they will fall apart.
Okay.
I don't know that.
I don't know that either. Neither does Ben.
I don't feel like there's not like the warning signs like this team is getting by, but eventually they're going to fall apart. I think this is what they are.
They're going to win some games in a row. They're going to lose a couple games. I've enjoyed this season. I have way more than last.
I've been slightly pleasantly surprised, maybe not by the record, but in terms of what I've seen on the field for the most part. I've seen less signs than I was more concerned last year at some of the signs than this year.
Yes, 100%. Last year was awful. Awful. Huh. All right, just don't worry about it.
Okay.
Stop
Dylan Cease tonight has been fantastic. Just what the Padres were hoping for when they picked him up at the beginning of the season, and he'll be going up against old friend alert, Cal Quantrill, making the start for the Colorado Rockies. Padres missed him, I think, in the 4 games when they were at Coors Field, correct?
Was he hurt?
I don't know if he was hurt. I think it was the day before and the day after, the one guy that they didn't actually have to face. They did face him when he was with the Guardians, though, I believe, in interleague play in the past. So it's not the first time they faced Cal Quantrill, but will be old friend alert, former Padres prospect and young player Cal Quantrill, going up against Dylan Cease, and the Padres will be looking for another stopper-type effort, which they have mostly gotten from Dylan Cease. The one thing he has been so consistent at, doesn't give up many hits. A 1, 2, 3, 4 max. Can he continue that tonight against the Colorado Rockies? Keep it in the strike zone like he has the last couple of starts. This should be a team that, if you just score a few runs, you'll be in good shape tonight with Dylan Cease on the mound. Of course, it's baseball, and Dylan's had a bad start. It can happen to anyone. You just hope it doesn't come tonight because they want to get this chance to win the game and win the series tomorrow.
Got Cal Quantrill on the bump. Old friend alert. Miss Cal Quantrill. Always really liked him. And right now, Benny, he is 2-3 with the Rockies, but his ERA is under 4. It's 3.94. He's got 8 starts under his belt. Doesn't strike out a ton of guys. He gets a ton of ground balls. He's a ground ball pitcher. Let me introduce you to the San Diego Padres, Cal. I know his attack tonight is going to be, as it always is, throwing a bunch of sinkers, and that's what he does. He throws a sinker, he throws a split, he throws a cutter, throws a curveball and a changeup, but he is going to pound the sinker in on your hands. He's going to throw probably the curveball away. He uses it very little, but he's a sinker and split guy, which, by the way, has me in fits already based on how we have handled those guys so far. So you know what you're going to get. He's about 93 miles an hour, 94 miles an hour tops, Benny. It's not overpowering, but if he's moving the sinker and
neither is Dakota Hudson,
and he's landing the split finger, could be a struggle for the San Diego Padres again. So, listen, Dylan Cease is the one thing that gives me a lot of confidence going into tonight, and also getting to the Rockies bullpen again. Like Jesse said earlier, you want those opportunities. You didn't come through last night at all, and that sucked. And you feel like you probably should have won that game. Not probably. You should have won that game. They gave you plenty of chances to do it. Get back into that bullpen today. And take your chances again.
Just to be clear, I don't expect any big changes in the lineup tonight.
I don't either.
Might even be the exact same lineup as last night. Not sure if Campy is going to probably get the day off tomorrow, day game after the night game, but very, very possible that we'll see a very similar lineup tonight as we did last night. So I don't think the panic button is going to be hit. If you listen to Mike Schilt, he may not even have a panic button. Guy seems to have less of that knee-jerk reaction than just about anybody. Obviously, managers and coaches have less than us as fans. Mike Schilt seems to have even less than maybe your average manager and coach.
Yeah,
at least
publicly, sure.
Like reacting. Publicly, for sure.
Yeah, publicly 100%.
I mean, privately, though, I promise you, he didn't go and say anything to Manny after the game. Like, hey, would have liked to have seen.
Dog.
I promise that there's no chance that a conversation took place other than, no, hey, good swing. We'll get him next time.
Yep.
That rough luck on that one, but loved having you up there in that circumstance. There was no public support and then private airing out of any of his players last night.
No, I fully agree. And, I like when he gets a little bit pissy after the game, too. I like that a lot. But, hey, listen, you got to get the job done, man. At the end of the day, the Colorado Rockies have beaten you more times than you've beaten them this season. That was such a key to this season that we talked about before game one. I mean, before game one, not even knowing what they're running out there, not even knowing if they're going to come together like the A's have come together and won a bunch of ball games. You have to beat up on the Rockies. They don't have the guns that you do. You've got more guns.
You've beat up on the Dodgers more than you beat up on the Rockies.
That's the most staggering part of all of it, is you've beaten up. The Dodgers are a better matchup.
Just shows what we all know. Like, hey, just try not to get clobbered by the Dodgers and then win, most of your games against the Rockies. Well, they've been beating up the Dodgers, and they have a losing record against the Rockies.
Diesel says it's going to be 0-0 in the 7th. I could absolutely 1,000% see that happening. I'm not even kidding when you say that.
And then what's tomorrow's game's a day game, correct? So that'll be the early start.
Yep, we're going to go down after the show. Yep. Excited about that. I'll go down and I'll teach these guys what,
shake some cages,
rattle some cages down there.
We'll maybe we'll bring Steve's bunting plan down for everybody.
Will you actually? Here's what you need to do.
Tomorrow we got Michael King versus Austin Gomber.
So take that plan down to Kinko's today. Get it laminated and
Cards
many
made
copies
up for everybody.
And say, here.
Coaching staff for sure. Maybe some key players just so they can reinforce the message.
I mean, the chat's,
bunting practice.
The chat's now turning into Peter Seidler hate. So I'm going to X out of the chat, and I'm going to leave that where it sits.
Why would anybody be mad at Peter Seidler?
What did he do?
It doesn't. At this point, it's not worth the oxygen, gentlemen. Everyone take a breather, take a breath. You're all going to be watching today. You said it was inexcusable. It's not. You're going to be watching today. You're going to be rooting for Manny. You're going to be rooting for Tatis. You're going to be rooting for Crony. That's it. That's how we do it. And we'll talk through it tomorrow together as we did today. Thanks for being there for me, fellas. First and hopefully last anxiety attack, panic attack on the air. Hope that's the last thing that happens.
Nothing I did, right?
No.
Okay,
No. Take great solace, and you had nothing to do with it. Nothing whatsoever. It just happens sometimes.
Mental health chat, very important. And again,
it's mental health awareness month.
Appreciate you being very open and honest about it with everybody.
Well,
I think that helps everybody to hear that we all go through it at times.
100%. Me more than most. So.
All right. Annie and Elston are standing by. That is it for us today. We will talk to you tomorrow before the early baseball game at Petco Park. Hopefully going for a series win. Good luck to Dylan Cease and the Padres in Game 2 of the series tonight. Great job, as always, by our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Reindl. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.